Mr. Podolsky,
Here.
Dr. Bertolini,
Present.
Ms. Brown,
Present.
Mr. Elia,
Present.
Ms. Fivovich. Ms. Fivovich. Ms. Kasoy,
Present.
Mr. Santana,
Present, presente, privyet.
Ms. Yorman,
Present.
Ms. Mehan.
Present. The New Jersey Open Meeting Law to ensure the right of the public to have its notice of and to attend the meetings of the public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with provisions of this act, the Fair Lawn Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof distributed to the persons on the approved list, posted in the Board of Education Administrative Office, and sent to the Bergen Record and the Herald News. The announcement posting for the regular monthly meeting, along with the date, place, and time thereof, was originally distributed on January 24th, 2025. Please join me in the flag salute.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. We will open up with our student representatives. Sophia Mueller from Memorial Middle School, Anusha Gupta from Thomas Jefferson Middle School, and our Fairlawn High School student rep who joins us monthly, Ezra Feynman. The floor is yours.
One of Memorial's most beloved and fiercely competitive traditions has once again delivered laughs, gasps, and a few dramatic pumpkin tears. Yes, folks, Pumpkin Palooza has wrapped up for another year, and the creativity on display was nothing short from gorgeous. See what I did there? Now, before we get to the winners, we must report some shocking news. Despite her bold and questionable Skibidi Toilet pumpkin entry, Miss Schwint did not place in the top 3 this year. We know. We're just as disappointed as you are. But hey, you can't flush away the competition that easily, Miss Schwint. And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, the winners of this year's Pumpkin Palooza are, in first place, Is It Cake by Miss Messia, Miss Geib, and Miss Potasnik. In second place, Spooky Cat by Miss Aaron Sibia. Third place, Sick 7 by Miss Niza, Miss Anzaldo, and Miss Visconti, and Miss Graff. We are so grateful to all of the staff who participated and to everyone who voted. This fun and festive event helps support our beloved Salute to Veterans celebration scheduled for November 10th. In addition, pumpkins were delivered to the Senior Center for the community to enjoy. They may even still be on display if you want to check them out. The pumpkins were fierce, the competition was tight, and Memorial's creativity continues to reign supreme.
In the spirit of smiles, fun, and parties, students, families, and faculty were welcomed back on Tuesday, September 2nd in a way to bring our community together in celebration of our new TJ mascot, Captain Cutter. Thanks to our PTO, led by Mrs. Sahori, students, family, and faculty were greeted upon arrival with DJ, food, a guest appearance by Captain Cutter, and giveaways like eye patches, t-shirts, and stickers. Our thanks to Mr. Yamashita, who's working with students in the art club to create a mural on the wall outside of the main office of our new logo.
Memorial Middle School proudly joins forces with the district to support Kaylee and raise awareness for pediatric cancer by wearing gold. Our school community came together with incredible spirit and compassion. Memorial staff alone raised $350 in support of this important cause. Thank you to everyone who participated and helped shine a light of hope and strength for children and families affected by pediatric cancer. Together, we show that Falcons have hearts of gold.
We are thrilled to announce that 12 incredibly talented students from Memorial and Thomas Jefferson auditioned and were selected for the prestigious Bergen County Band and Chorus. This accomplishment speaks volumes about the dedication, hard work, and skill of these young vocalists. Competing against some of the finest singers in the county, they demonstrated both confidence and exceptional musical ability, earning themselves a well-deserved place in the chorus. Please join us in congratulating these outstanding students as they prepare to perform and inspire through their love of music. And from TJ, Maisha Bansali, Aaron Chen, Amelia Chen, Junyoung Jin, Katharina Kanev, Alma Magid, Shishta Patnaik, Victoria Southgate. And from Memorial, Cassidy Abate, Alexander Ramos Tablada, Dimitri Figueroa, Liam Roseweek.
The Week of Respect at Memorial was filled with energy, excitement, and school spirit as students came together to celebrate and showcase their outstanding character. The 5th and 6th grade character cavalcade was a highlight, with students proudly participating in team-building events that brought out their best qualities and made an unforgettable day. In their SEL classes, students were assigned a pillar of character to represent. Each class went all out, creating mascots, banners, songs, dances, and even their own flags to embody their character pillars. The festivities kicked off with a lively parade featuring these creative displays, as students marched outside the school with unity.
For Week of Respect at TJ, students and teachers were throwing their kindness boomerang around the building. To promote empathy and inclusion within our school community, we kicked things off with this kindness presentation in each classroom to reinforce that being kind is a way to express respect, and we would always like these actions to shine throughout TJ this year. Our focus for students is that respectful actions have ripple effect. What you put out into the halls of TJ matters and creates a happy environment for all. Throughout the month of October, our teachers have been looking to catch students being kind and respectful and are sharing their stories of students who are excelling at creating a happy environment for everyone here at TJ with this display on our bulletin board outside of the auditorium. In addition to this work, our PE and health teachers presented a 3-class lesson in our health classes to review behavioral expectations as well as the HIB law, with scenarios to identify how and why certain behaviors can be hurtful to others.
And now, big news from Memorial Drama. We're snapping with excitement to announce this year's drama production, The Addams Family. Tryouts have already taken place and the cast and crew are set. Rehearsals are already underway as our talented students bring this delightfully spooky family to life. Stay tuned for more details as we creep closer to opening night. But for now, save the dates, February 27th and 28th.
At TJ, the Drama Club will be presenting the musical Beetlejuice Jr. on March 6th and 7th. Join us as we meet a teenager named Lydia who moves into a new haunted house haunted by you-know-who. A guaranteed fun night for the entire family. Just don't say his name 3 times.
Good evening, everyone. I'm excited to share an update on recent and upcoming events at Fairlawn High School. So to start, the Masks will be performing their fall performance, Ducka Supapalooza, from Tuesday, November 18th through Friday, November 22nd. Students have been working hard in preparation, and we are looking forward to another successful production. Tickets are available for purchase on the Fairlawn High School website. Shifting to the Student Government Association, SGA recently held our first General Assembly meeting of the year. We heard reports from all our class council presidents, including myself, about upcoming class council events. More on those later. And brainstormed ideas for our Fall Spirit Week in November. In addition to our first General Assembly meeting, we also held our first ever leadership conference for the SGA and class council officers. At this leadership conference, the officers participated in team bonding and leadership activities. It was a great day and an event that we look forward to continuing in the future. SGA also just held Fairlawn High School's 2nd annual homecoming dance. Tickets sold well and fast, with over 350 people in attendance. The homecoming dance is unique because it brings together all the grades for a fun night, and everyone had a blast. The student government is now shifting focus to our upcoming November pep rally. I look forward to providing more details as we finalize that event. Fairlawn High School recently had our annual club fair. Representatives from all our active clubs showcased their clubs and organizations and encouraged students to join and get involved. Following the club fair, most of our student clubs have begun hosting interest meetings and planning their activities and fundraisers for the year. It's great to see our students getting involved in our amazing student activities. Our class councils have also been active, hosting successful food nights and movie nights to promote community and raise funds. The junior class council had our most recent food night at Habit Burger in the Promenade just yesterday, and we have another dining night in the works for November, so stay tuned. As we approach Halloween, our seniors are looking forward to the annual senior costume contest, which will take place during period 8 on October 31st. Dressing up in costume is a long-standing senior privilege and a tradition students look forward to throughout their 4 years at high school. I always look forward to seeing the seniors' costumes. They're always pretty funny. Overall, student involvement is strong, and we are excited for everything still ahead this year. That concludes my report for you all tonight. Thank you for your time.
Sophia, Anushka, and Ezra, thank you guys so much. You are welcome to stay and participate in our community's governance. However, if you guys need to leave, please do so at your convenience. Before we get started, I just want to formally welcome Mr. Jorge Cruz, our new business administrator. Congratulations and welcome to your first monthly meeting. Additionally, to my right is our new regularly attending board attorney, Mr. Matthew Giacobbe. Thank you so much. And then lastly, before we get into business of the board, I just want to recognize and thank both Mr. Spindell and Mr. Itkin for joining us this evening. They are both former Board of Education trustees. Thank you for being here. So, Dr. Dionisio, it is time for our superintendent comments, and then we will roll into our presentation this evening. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Board of Education. Good evening, members of the public and those at home watching. We do have a few presentations this evening that are required under the law to report, and then we also have some context to be able to provide as well regarding some updates. But so we have the agenda that's up here for this evening. But before we begin tonight's presentation, I do want to recognize the outstanding work of our communications officer, Rebecca Vogt. If you see Mr. Jorge Cruz right in front of him, I'm not sure if he picked up on it, but there are 2 awards that are sitting there in front of his desk. A few weeks ago, the New Jersey School Public Relations Association honored Fairlawn with 2 awards of merit at their annual ceremony, the most competitive this year in the organization's history. With 140 submissions from 53 school districts, judged by a national panel. Rebecca, who is behind me, that we're recognizing, did an amazing job with her No Place for Hate video from Memorial Middle School, which has already been recognized nationally, and this year also won at the state level. And the Superintendent's Corner column earned recognition in the newsletter category as well. So Rebecca, this is excellent work. And on behalf of the administration, the district, and the Board of Education, we'd like to thank you for your commitment to our students, to our staff, and to our families. Thank you. So now we're going to shift into the first presentation this evening. You see here the HIB 2-year analysis. HIB, for those of you who do not know, stands for harassment, intimidation, and bullying. And there is legislation in New Jersey that protects our students. So what I want to do is I want to talk about something that matters deeply to every family and to all of us here in this room, and that's whether or not children feel safe at school. So each year we provide an update in the state of our schools on student safety. Over the past year, as you can see here, we have seen significant progress. So to the left, we have the 23-24 school year, and in blue, we have the total number of HIV cases that were reported and investigated. All cases that are reported are investigated in the district. And then in red, you see the number of cases that are found. And what that means is out of the total number of cases that were reported, 81 cases in the 23-24 school year met the definition of the law as it relates to harassment, intimidation, and bullying. What you can see is when you take a look at 24-25, last school year, 114 students in blue, or I should say 114 investigations in blue, and 48 cases were confirmed by the Board of Education for HIV being found. So to make it clear, if we're looking at the red from 81 to 48, that's a 41% reduction in the number of incidents of bullying. Put another way, that's 33 less students that felt safe coming to school, that were not adversely impacted, and could effectively receive their education. That matters. I also want to highlight one important statistic, and that's when we reviewed the numbers, the number of offenders that you see in red in 24-25 represents less than 1% of the total students in the Fair Lawn Public Schools. I'm going to say that again. That represents less than 1% of the students are identified as offenders in the Fair Lawn Public Schools. That means 99% of our students are doing the right thing every single day, right? They're being upstanders. You heard our students tonight talking about kindness activities and being able to support their peers. So what changed? There's a correlation here, and we have three that we're going to share with you tonight. So first, No Place for Hate, which is our partnership with the Anti-Defamation League. Many of you have heard throughout the year our communications on that, about our partnership throughout the district. We make it part of our conversation on a frequent basis with our schools. So No Place for Hate, every school in our district partnered with the Anti-Defamation League, No Place for Hate initiative, not one or two schools, but every single building. Students and staff made the commitments to creating these inclusive environments. And in fact, last year, we were recognized by the ADL as an ADL Gold winner, and we were recognized at NYU for all the amazing initiatives that we've done at our schools. Secondly, when we take a look at the middle, anti-bullying curriculum and professional development. So when we look there, those are the targeted lessons and professional development that we're actually providing, not only to our staff, but to our students. And you heard some of that as well tonight from what our students are talking about with the start of the year initiatives pushing into the classrooms. Those are the ongoing interventions and instruction where the staff is positively impacting our students. Third, the Community Leadership Council. So you'll remember back in following October 2023, I had arrived here in the district. There was a lot of tension at that time, and we were managing the challenges that our students were facing in feeling fearful in coming to school. We created a Community Leadership Council where we brought together educators, board members, civic leaders, our faith leaders within the community in order to be able to talk about the strengths within our schools and the areas that we can continue to hone and to improve. That council continues to meet, and this work doesn't stop when the tensions ease. This work continues in order to move this work forward. So these are not hopes, these are actions that we've had. These are not just intentions that we've had, these are results that you can actually see how they've translated in that correlation over the last 2 years. Additionally, how do we handle situations when an incident of HIB is affirmed? So when an HIB is reported and we investigate and it's founded, what do we do in order to remediate those behaviors? So we take a three-pronged approach. We approach it with discipline, we approach it with education, and we approach it with counseling. So what does that look like? Well, we apply the Student Code of Conduct appropriately based on not only what the infraction is, but also what the age of the children is, in order to be able to address those inappropriate behaviors accordingly. So discipline is the first of those three prongs. The second piece is education. We can't just expect that we're going to discipline students and that they're going to learn just from the discipline. We need to also educate them. We need to make sure that we teach them why their behaviors are inappropriate, unacceptable, and can't happen again. So if we want to change behaviors, we need to educate. So we have programs and curriculum to support that work. Lastly, we have counseling. So the counseling is for the alleged target or victim in the HIB case, but in addition, it is also for the offender. Once again, another teaching opportunity to make sure that these behaviors do not repeat. And that's something that we also track. We track to see that the students who are committing HIBs, right, that less than 1%, are not repeat offenders. And then that way we can make sure that we're correctly supporting each of those families. So when we take a look each year, our school district, each of our schools is required to complete under the HIB law a self-assessment. And each school has a school safety team that's comprised of the principal, educators, parents, a number of different stakeholders. And they have 8 core elements that they have to review. And you can see here what it measures. Whether we're training staff properly, whether students know how to report these incidents, whether investigations are following all of the legal procedures, and whether we're teaching prevention curriculum. So those are the eight core elements, and there is a rubric that each school must follow. And the scale is a maximum score of 78. And you can see here how each of our schools has done. And this is a way for us to assess how we're doing at each school, but then also how to set measurable goals in order to continue to improve. So I can tell you that from the 23-24 scores, which are published on our website, we'll publish these following the board meeting, that these scores have actually stayed the same at schools or improved, which shows you that the process is working. This is all tying together. So let me share a little bit about what we see when we're talking about specifically students experiencing different types of harassment, and understanding this to help us, effectively support students. So there are a number of different categories, and what you can see is that we've categorized them into 4 different buckets. You see identity-based, which will include race, religion, ethnicity, sexual orientation. Appearance-based, which includes weight, height, and body image. Ability-based, which includes a disability, mental health, or other factors, gender, family, other distinguishing characteristics. So every child deserves to feel supported and to feel safe when they come to school. And these are the different categories that are protected under the law. So let me show you a little bit about the comprehensive work that's underway and how we take proactive measures within the school district. So before we move on to the next section tonight, I do want to address directly the fact that I recognize that there are people, and the board has received a number of emails and a petition regarding Jewish American Heritage Month, and a petition in order to make a call to recognizing that. And I hear that. We all hear that. I know that the board hears that. Members of the community hear that. What I'm here to do tonight is to be able to provide some perspective around what we currently do, and perspective around a process that's inclusive of the Jewish community, but it's inclusive of all community members. So this is work that we've been doing for years. And the first that I want to show you is what's required by law. So these are the New Jersey Department of Education curricular mandates. So you'll see, starting from the left and working to the right, we have African American history. That's through the Amistad Bill, teaching the contributions and experience of African Americans. What's required, we teach it. LGBT and persons with disabilities, teaching political, economic, and social contributions of LGBTQ+. It's required, we teach it. Holocaust and genocide, teaching the Holocaust and other genocides in elementary, middle, and high school. It's required, we teach it. Asian American and Pacific Islander mandate, teaching the history and contributions of Asian American Pacific Islanders. It's required, we teach it. Diversity and inclusion. On diversity, inclusion within our curriculum, it's required, we teach it. One that's not up here is the recently stated, mandated Latino and Hispanic history requirement mandate that's coming in 26-27 next year. It will be required, we will teach it. These aren't suggestions, these are state mandates. We teach those at a bare minimum. So now what I want to move into is that we don't just stop at compliance, we move well beyond that. So I want to share a little bit about some of the other curricular areas that we address within our schools in the elementary, middle, and high school level. So I'll give you a snapshot. This is not a comprehensive list, but this is something that we've had many conversations with the Community Leadership Council, that group of 30 to 40 community members that I mentioned earlier tonight. So this gives you a list of some of the foundational interventions and programs that we offer at our elementary schools. So No Place for Hate, that's the student-led program through Anti-Defamation League. Every school, every elementary school participates. Our Lizzie Sider visits, anti-bullying presentations. We have monthly character assemblies, not just sometimes, but all of the time. They're on a monthly basis in our elementary schools to talk about the pillars of responsibility, of kindness, and of courage. Social emotional learning is SEL. That's the Sanford Harmony program. That's in our elementary K-5 daily routines. It's a K-5 curriculum. Our elementary schools are K-4. We teach empathy, conflict resolution, and inclusion. That's how you build culture in the foundations of our schools. We have diverse celebrations of various cultures across all of our schools. We have inclusion opportunities, and we have parent and family involvement with presentations in these collaborations. So these aren't just rules. We're not just following mandates. You can see already here that we're going above and beyond the mandates that are required by the state, that are sensitive to the needs of our schools and the needs of our community. When we shift to the middle school, just gave you 3 of the main areas that we focus on. Once again, you see No Place for Hate as the student-led climate improvement program that's had significant impact on our schools. That's led by our middle school students. You also see an 8th grade field trip that we're extremely proud of, that is supported, that is inclusive of all of our 8th grade students in TJ and Memorial Middle Schools. So it includes all of our students. It's 3 years running now. They attend the Rockland Community College Holocaust Museum and Center for Tolerance and Education. And that means that each year over 400 of our 8th grade students attend that full day event and have that immersive, intensive educational experience. Lastly, for middle schools, we have Heroes and Cool Kids. So this is a peer leadership program that combats students' risky behaviors. Students are trained, our upper level students are trained on areas in a program around substance abuse, bullying, and peer pressure to be able to give peer mentoring. So I want everybody to hear this clearly, that this is something that impacts all of the students so far, K-8. So you already get a flavor of, beyond the mandates that are required, what our schools are doing. And that field trip isn't random. It's something that we're deeply committed to and has become an important part of our curriculum. And then lastly, when we shift to the high school, you see, of course, once again, No Place for Hate, student-led initiative. We have there, it's a much more sophisticated form because we have high school students who are older, more mature, and are able to be the leaders within our school community to really steward this important work. Our student clubs, you heard a little bit about that tonight from our high school representative, Ezra, who mentioned that we had the club fair recently. We have over 60 clubs at the club fair, and they are of all different types, from STEM to languages to business leaders to our Muslim Student Association, our Jewish Student Union, our Christian Student Fellowship. GLOW and Erase support our LGBTQ+ community. So it's very extensive. So this is a way for us to make sure that we're creating an inclusive environment and one where every student feels seen and feels heard. We have the Diversity Council on Global Education and Citizenship. That's our partnership with Kean University's Holocaust Resource Center. That's a very productive and successful partnership that we've had around civil rights and teaching of Holocaust education and global citizenship. And then there's also the Prejudice Reduction and Holocaust Education Post-Bac program that we have in partnership with Kean University, where we have teachers who've engaged in this intensive program at no cost to them. That cost is picked up by Keene University and by donors in order to be able to continue to support our staff members with professional development in these areas that then ultimately impact our students. We've also sent 3 teachers to Europe with a Holocaust survivor through the New Jersey Commission on Holocaust Education. We have dual enrollment program on Holocaust and genocide at the high school. We have had, most recently, even last year, a Survivor Speaks program where we had a Holocaust survivor who spoke with our students through the Jewish Federation of the Greater Metro West. We celebrate Holocaust Remembrance Day every single year. Over the past several years, we've had a very productive partnership with our students being the leaders and partnering with our teachers and bringing in guest speakers. And we make that a requisite event at the high school in order to make sure that that's infused as part of our curriculum. So we maintain that relationship with Keene University's Diversity Council. We have one of our administrators who is actually on the Ramapo College Holocaust Roundtable. And we collaborate with the town library regarding initiatives around anti-Semitism. So this is not something that's new to us. We're very sensitive to the needs of our community, of all of our groups. So that gives you a little bit of a sense of some of the work that we've been doing. There's a lot more that occurs besides that. And then we'll get into a little bit more of what the recommendation I have for the board to kind of take a more holistic, comprehensive approach on this moving forward. So I recognize what the petition asks. I give you that as just a very brief overview to touch on a few points. I could do the same thing for Hispanic heritage, Muslim heritage, LGBTQ+, all of the different groups that are represented within our community are very vibrant, strong, diverse community that we have. I understand the request. I know that the board also understands the request. You have seen how we are already exceeding the mandates. The board has heard from me. You know how I feel about making decisions, always make informed decisions that studies these requests. And my recommendation to the board is to take the request, listen to members of the public, take that information, bring it back with the administration, do a study around, more in depth around all of the different cultures that we have within our community and what we currently do, where there are areas that we can continue to add and improve in order to continue to make our community even more supportive and inclusive. And I would recommend bringing that back to the Education Committee. You see some more highlights here around our commitment to Holocaust and Jewish heritage education. These are things that have been going on for several years that we're very, very proud about. Bringing the recommendation back to committee is a deliberative, thoughtful action and approach that allows us to make sure that when we're making decisions, they're informed and that they're inclusive of all groups within our community. Now I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Keller, who's going to talk to us a little bit about DLM and NJSLA before we then jump into APs.
All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for everyone watching and in attendance. I'm going to start talking about DLM. So these are our spring administration test results. The dynamic learning maps, known as the DLM, is an alternate assessment that is given to students with the most significant intellectual disabilities in English language arts, mathematics, and science. They take this in lieu of the NJSLA. So this is a very small population of our students that end up taking this test. It's about 60 students throughout the district. The test measures the students' understanding and their ability to apply content, knowledge, and skills. They call this the essential elements, and we're looking for students to be above or at target. And it's information for parents and educators to set high academic standards for students, for expectations for our students, and to guide instruction. So this is a graph showing us the results from the last 2 years for each of the 3 subjects, English language arts, mathematics, and science. So the bars on the left are from 2024 last year, so you can compare how we did in previous years to how we're doing this year. So what you can probably see at first glance is we actually had less students take the DLM last year, or this past year, which is accurate. The line across the center of the screen is proficiency, and everyone above that is advanced or considered at target. So if you were to look at, this, you can see in general, it's similar to how we performed last year. Additionally, if you look at other districts, a lot of them are doing their same data analysis in September and October. These are very similar results to other districts and the state, because despite it being an alternate assessment, it still is assessing grade level based skills and knowledge to make sure that students are meeting those. And this is all IEP and programmatic driven for our students. The vast majority of our IEP students do take the NJSLA, which is what we're going to get into for the remaining bit of the slides. All right, so moving on to the NJSLA. So the NJSLA assessment is given in grades 3 through 9, and we look and we assess 3 different content areas. English language arts, so we're looking at a student's ability to read, comprehend, and write. Mathematics, we're looking at their understanding of the major content and the minor content, as well as their ability to reason and model. And then finally, science, we're looking at their scientific and engineering practices in the context of their cross-cutting concepts and disciplinary core ideas. There's 2 different ways it's scored. So English language arts is scored along with mathematics, on a scale of 1 through 5. 4 and 5 are meeting and exceeding expectations. And then for science, it's 1 through 4, where it's 3 and 4 are proficient or advanced proficient. So in general, the next few slides we're going to look at, we're looking for more green. We want more students that are meeting or exceeding proficiency. So the following slides, we're going to take the information that we have, our students' proficiency rate over this past year, and we're going to look at it a few different ways. We're going to look at it just for each subject area. We're going to compare to the state. We're going to look at growth. We're going to look at cohorts. We're going to look at comp districts and a demographic analysis. So we're going to take all that information. We're going to analyze it in a lot of different ways so that we can get an in-depth look at the data. And we're going to start with looking at the number of valid scores by content area. So what this is showing us is for each of the either grade levels on the left or subject area tests like in mathematics, the number of students that took the assessment, the number of valid scores that we received, and then the percent of valid scores. So English language arts, mathematics, and science. So just if you look right in the center of the graph, for grade 8 math, 296 students took the grade 8 math assessment. You're going to notice that's actually less than the English language arts number and the science number, because starting in 7th grade across the state, but in our district, we start to have different levels of mathematics. They're not all taking the same assessment. So you start to see different numbers of students actually taking the assessment. So that's just important to keep in mind, especially on the future slides, because if you see in the math chart as you go down, past 8th grade, it's different populations and sizes of students. So we're going to see some tests that only have 30 students that took the test, some that are about 300, but the top part, grades 3 through 6, are their whole grade level are actually taking the assessment. Whereas in English language arts and science, regardless of what level enriched honors the child is in, they're taking the same grade level assessment like the rest of their peers. And we have about 3,000 students that ultimately test. The percentage of valid scores. So what would make something an invalid score if somebody refused the assessment, if a student didn't complete enough questions, or maybe they were absent and missed the makeup window. Those will all be examples of invalid scores, which ultimately attribute to our percentage. But vast majority of our students take the test pretty much close to 99% and above. All right, so this is our English language arts proficiency for 2025. If you look right across, like right in the middle, 6th grade, 50% of our students were exceeding expectations for language arts. That's really, really impressive. 33% were meeting expectations. That means 83% of our 6th grade students were meeting or exceeding expectations. And then we had 10% that were approaching, and then collectively 6% that were not meeting or partially meeting. All of these 7 grades, if you look all the way to the right, that bar combines all those 7th grades together. So we have 77% of our students in English language arts that are proficient. And what I was extremely impressed on, 39% of them are exceeding. That's extremely impressive, 39%. So almost the same amount that are meeting expectations. Same information for mathematics. It looks a lot busier on the graph because we have all those different courses tied in. The left side of the graph are all of the grade levels where all the students are testing. So you're seeing like 420 or so students grades K through 6, or sorry, not K, 3 through 6. The right side of the graph, we're seeing smaller pockets of students, maybe 30, maybe 300, because those are the course sequences once we start in 7th grade. You can kind of even see the little dip in 7th grade where it happens. The last grade with all students that are testing is 6th grade, which had 73% of students that were meeting or exceeding expectations. All the way to the right, which might be a little hard to see because the bars are just small with so many bars on the chart. Overall, 70% of our students, 70% of the 7 grades, I was getting myself done with the 70% of our students were meeting or exceeding expectations for mathematics. So that's a really great number. And of that, in the dark green, we had 18% that were exceeding. And then finally, science. So science has consistently been lower in the state as well as in Fair Lawn. So if you look at the scores for collectively English language arts, mathematics, and science, you're going to see English language arts, a little bit lower math, bit lower science. That's generally pretty consistent throughout the state in terms of our assessments for the last few years. So the 2 levels we're looking for, the green bars, are proficiency. And so collectively, we have about 41% of our students in science that are meeting proficiency. So we're looking for more. We know that. We're going to analyze it a bunch of different ways. Just we can get a lot of information from this and find helpful resources to be able to figure out what we can do to target instruction. So now we're going to look at this information, but analyze it versus the state. So this is English language arts proficiency. So each of the red bars are the proficiency, the totals of the 2 different shades of green bars on the previous slides that we saw for language arts. So 3rd grade, 70% of our students were proficient. And then the blue bar is the state. So as you can see, Fair Lawn demonstrated just significantly higher proficiency than the state across all grade levels. And then the largest gap was actually in grade 6, which was 83% versus 56%. So that was our biggest gap from the state. We are outperforming the state by about 25%. Similarly, in mathematics, we're outperforming the state across all of the subject areas and grades. The largest gap that we have is actually in 8th grade. 8th grade is a unique grade. If you were to go back and look at the numbers, that's the one I pointed out where it had 300 or so students. That grade, you're pulling out some of your honors kids, the different kids that are in Algebra 1, Algebra 2, they're taking a different assessment. So those are the students, it's a smaller population across the state that is actually taking that test, but we have double the scores, more than double the scores than the state, 43% versus 21%. And then math is outperforming the state by an even larger gap. It's actually by about 29%, whether you count the smaller populations with the courses or if you don't and just go with the courses by just the grade levels. All right, and then for science, science is also outperforming the state average. We're anywhere from 14 to 15% above the state average. In grade 8, we do see a dip, but so does the state. So it's a dip for both. One helpful thing in looking at the state, we are outperforming the state by quite a bit, and it might seem like it's not worth looking at. We have to report it, but it might seem like it's not worth, but it is actually helpful to find trends and see things that are happening across not just maybe in Fair Lawn, but are happening elsewhere. So that is a helpful piece that we are able to look at by looking at that information. It's also good for goal setting. So looking at the proficiency analysis, we're going to look at the same information, but a course of the last 3 years. So from 23 to 25. So you can see for language arts, there's been a lot of really nice improvement. 4 of the 7 grades saw growth from the previous year. In some cases, the scores maybe dipped, like for instance, grade 9. Grade 9 had seen a really nice increase the previous year and saw a dip. We're going to look at it in a few slides. The state actually saw a really big dip in that grade as well. So it's interesting to see those kind of trends in the numbers. And then just to highlight the sum of all of our results from 2023, 24, and 25, language arts has seen a 3% gain in results over the course of those 3 years. In mathematics, we have seen an increase in 8 of the 10 areas. One of the areas is actually exactly the same. Algebra 2, it was 100 last year, it's 100 this year. So 8 of the 10, though, saw an increase, which is extremely impressive. And if you look at the growth from 2023 to 2025, we went from 64%, and we're up 6 percentage points to 70% this year collectively. And then science. Science saw an increase in 2 of the grade levels in terms of their proficiency. 8th grade did see a bit of a drop. And in terms of their growth, we are up from 2023, 2%, small, but it was a little bit of a drop from the previous year. One thing that is hard about science is you take it every 3 years. So whereas math and ELA, we have consistent data, you know, this same group of kids won't take another test for 3 years. They take it in 5th, and they take it again in 8th. So then putting this all together, let's look at the growth for our growth from last year, as well as the state's growth. So across the left are all of the grade levels in the courses, and then for each of the 3 subjects are our percent change from the previous year, as well as the state's percent change from the previous year. I realize the colors, there's a lot going on, but everywhere you see green, we grew. So everywhere. The lighter green was just growth from the previous year. The brighter green is growth over the state. So 6th grade mathematics saw an 11.3% increase over the state. The state saw 3.5. I highlighted that because that was really impressive. We grew significantly more than the state on that. And when you think about just the theory of how, you know, the ability to be able to grow by large percentage points, it's easier to grow when your scores are lower. Our scores are already significantly outperforming the state by almost 30% in mathematics. So to grow by another 11% is very, very big. Language arts, 7th and 8th grade saw really nice gains, both of them almost 6% increase over the collectively from last year. Now, one thing to keep in mind when we talk about growth, from year to year, when I'm saying growth, that is actually a different population of students, right? So last year's 3rd grade, right, isn't the same. So yes, it is growth. It is good for curricular trends and to be able to analyze curriculum because you want to see some level of consistency or growth so that you know programs are working and the changes you're making are happening. That said, we will look at cohorts and look at what happens for actual individual students as they grow through as well. So we look at it both ways to be able to make informed decisions. So now we're going to look at a cohort analysis. So what does a cohort mean? A cohort is tracking the same group of students. So in 2024, you were in grade 3. In 2025, you're in grade 4. What happened? So our students in language arts, 3rd graders 2 years ago, went from 69% proficiency to 81% proficiency. So that's a huge increase. Not only did that 4th grade do an excellent job, they had a very significant number of students that were exceeding expectations. If like you think back to the 4th grade group, that was a really high bar. So that's extremely impressive. 3 of our 6 cohorts saw an increase, and one of them stayed exactly the same. The 6-7 one was, oh, look at that. Oh, all right, stayed exactly the same. So, but otherwise, 3 of the 6 saw nice improvements. All right, mathematics. So you're going to notice on this slide, it's actually a little bit different than the previous math slides that I had shared, because the previous math slides, there's algebra 1, there's geometry, there's algebra 2. There's so many different groups. There's actually usually just a whole lot more bars on the slide. We combined them for this. So 7th grade, 8th grade, and 9th grade are the collective proficiency of all of the students that are in that grade, regardless of what math class they took. So if they took algebra, if they took algebra 2, if they took grade 8 math, they're all going into the grade 8 proficiency. If they passed it, regardless of what class they were in, they count for proficiency. So by doing that, we're able to look at cohorts and see the growth. Otherwise, we'd have to stop at grade 6. So 4 of the 6 cohorts saw growth. So not only was just in general, grade to grade, we're seeing growth, but we're also seeing growth for cohorts. All right, now we're going to look at a demographic analysis, and we're going to do this as well through the previous 3 years. So anytime you see purple in the next few slides, that's going to be language arts. On the right-hand side are the percent breakdowns of the population of students. I think that is really good to know for perspective because, you know, even though the bars are all, you know, going up to the total of 100%, some of the populations are significantly larger or smaller than others. So it's just good to be aware. We're going to look at this with race, ethnicity, program status, as well as gender, and then the trends. So there's really nice growth in this across across the different subgroups. I think we see growth in almost all of them. 4 of the 5 see growth here. All right, now moving on to math. So that is the same table for language arts. So the same breakdown, we'll see that for science as well. In math, all of them actually saw an increase from the previous year. As a note, our Hispanic population is 22% of our student body, and the students saw an increase of about 2% from last year and about 5% from 2 years ago. So that's nice growth. And then science will be in green. We see some subgroups went up and some went down, which would make sense because we did actually drop by 1% for science. A higher proficiency by a subgroup does not necessarily make sure that more students in that subgroup are proficient. So it really does depend on the size of the students. So smaller groups, changes of smaller numbers of kids are going to show in a larger way through the graph. But ultimately, a little bit of ups and downs through science. All right, language arts. Now we're going to look at programs here. So we have 4 programs we're looking at. We say MLs, the state reports has it as ELL, but our ELML population, that's about 5%. Our free and reduced lunch population, which has been growing, that's about 18% of our population. 504 is about 6%, and special ed about 16%. So language arts, we could see 4 of the programs saw growth. As a highlight, free and reduced saw a 6% increase, and our ML students saw an increase of about 4% from the previous year. In mathematics, all 4 of the subgroups saw an increase. Free and reduced has seen a 15% increase in the last 2 years, and our ML students have seen a 14% increase. And especially, free and reduced, that population, 18% of our population, that's a larger size population. So we're talking about quite a few number of students for that growth. And then in science, similar to math and ELA, our free and reduced population has seen a nice incline in science as well. Gender, I did put them all on one side for gender because gender is pretty similar in terms of the male-female comparison in terms of how they perform. Our male population is slightly larger in the district in terms of tested grade, it's 51%, but across the board, language arts, math went up. Math, just to note for all of our previous few slides on this, all of the subgroups, math did go up for, so just as a highlight. All right, now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Dionisio to speak about comparative districts.
Thank you very much. So we created some new comp groups this year to better illustrate, because the conversations that we've had as a board is we're required to share out what Ms. Keller has just shared in regards to our performance compared to the state. But we also want to compare ourselves to similar like districts, what our comparative districts would be, and what does that look like. So the way we identify the comp group districts that I'm going to show you is based on several categories. Number one, they all must be K-12 or pre-K to 12 school districts. And what I mean by that is, from a financial allocation resource standpoint, you would never compare us to a K-8 district or a K-6 district or a 9 through 12 district. So you're comparing apples to apples. So that's number one. Number two, geographic region. We take the northeast corner of New Jersey, closest to New York City, so we're looking at Hudson County, Morris, Essex, Passaic, Union, and Bergen County, thank you. I should have started with that one. So that's the second piece. We're also looking at our socioeconomic status. So that's the median household income. The state of New Jersey, for decades, used to consider what's called district factor groups. They call them DFG groups. A is the lowest socioeconomic, J is the highest. Fair Lawn is classified on the most recent DFG status as a GH status. That's actually a category, it's not one definitive letter, it's GH. So we would compare ourselves against all other GH districts. I districts have higher socioeconomic status, and J even higher than that. So we're going to analyze those results as well tonight. So what Mrs. Keller just shared with you is really important perspective, but now we're going to dive in a little bit closer. So Here are some of the districts that I just talked about. They're similar size. They're K through 12, the counties, the DFG group. And you see in our GH group, Fair Lawn, Morris School District, Mount Olive, Paramus, Parsippany Troy Hills, Roxbury, Springfield, Teaneck, Wayne, West Orange. And then you see the other districts in the I's and the J's. So now, what does that mean? So first I'm going to start with mathematics. And this is going to be a really interesting story and analysis because we're now looking at apples to apples comparison here, right? We're not comparing ourselves just against the state. So I want to draw your attention. Obviously, Fair Lawn is in red, and the tan or brown bars is the average performance level on the NJSLA for our comp district. So essentially what we're taking is all of those school districts, and we're putting all of that data into a spreadsheet, and we're analyzing those results. So you can see how we're doing. So I know it's a little small. We pulled this right out of Excel. To the far left, I'll just read across the x-axis, across the bottom, Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Geometry, Grade 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And what you could see is, focusing just on grades 3 through 6, on average, for every 5 students who succeed in math in comparable districts, 6 or 7 Fair Lawn students are succeeding. Take a look at algebra and geometry to the far left. Where students in other districts are taking those same exams, for every 6 students who pass elsewhere, 8 or 9 are passing in Fair Lawn. The pattern holds everywhere. Grades 3, grades 4, grades 5, grade 6, grade 7, grade 8, algebra, geometry, every grade, every test, Fair Lawn leads GH districts. Right? That's an apples to apples comparison. Are these scores perfect? No. I'll draw your attention to grade 6, 59.3% proficiency. That means that 4 in 10 students still need support. Right? We acknowledge that. We recognize that, we own that, and we're going to act on that. But what this also shows us, the truth is that while we should never be satisfied enough, we have incredible results here to be really proud of. So both things can be true. And now I'm going to take you over to what happens when I expand this list and I keep the GH districts, but now I'm adding in the I's and the J's. Because this is what's going to be really interesting as you add these school districts that have more resources, higher socioeconomic status. So what we're doing is now making the comparison tougher on ourselves. Okay? This slide adds more districts like Milburn and Livingston and Cranford, places with higher property values, higher median incomes, more resources, still apples to apples with this comparison. If Fair Lawn was going to struggle anywhere, it would be here. But what we're seeing is we don't struggle, we're leading in those categories. You see the red bars are higher than those tan bars across the board. To the far left, take a look at algebra. For every 6 students on that tan line on the far left in the average of the other school districts that are passing the exams, you have over 8 students who are passing in Fair Lawn. So we're not just keeping up, we're maintaining our advantage, and we're seeing that consistency across the board. And these numbers tells you that it's very real in the results and the outcomes that we're getting. We'll talk more later about why we believe that's the case. Mathematics is one measure. Let's take a look at literacy. So now I'm back to the GH districts only. So if we thought math was strong, let's take a look at literacy here and what this looks like. So Fair Lawn maintains a significant advantage across the board over comparable districts. I'll also note, we're not just exceeding by 2 or 3 points. We're exceeding anywhere between 9 to 18 points when we look at these charts. 3rd grade, far left, for every 5 students or so, on average in the other districts, we're almost 7 students in Fair Lawn that are passing that exam. So this is our true comp group, apples to apples. Grades 5 through 9, including grade 4, you see that pattern repeats year after year, grade after grade. So this is not an accident. This is what alignment looks like. The curriculum builds from year to year. It's intentional. We provide the teachers with professional development. We hire top talent. We support that top talent, and we give them the necessary supports. So what this data is showing is that our current system is working. Does that mean that we don't have more work to do? Of course not. We always have more work to do. But this paints the picture of what we're really doing, and if we're really meeting the needs of our students. And the answer predominantly is yes, because we're exceeding our comp groups. What I'll also note is this. It is a common misconception to take a look at how we're performing against the bar of 100%. I don't know a district in New Jersey or in the country that is hitting 100%, right? So that's why we use the comparative data in order to make our assessment of how we're doing and our growth. Now we make it harder for ourselves. Let's expand. We bring in the I and the J districts. Take a look here. Grade 3, we're ahead. Far left. Left to right from grade 3 to grade 9. Grade 4, we're ahead. Grade 5, we're ahead. Grade 6, we're ahead. 7, 8, and 9. We're ahead in every category. So that's when you know it's legitimate. This is a repeated pattern that shows up over and over and over again. We looked at math. We looked at literacy. Let's take a look at science. Now we're back to only looking at the GH districts. Let's talk about science because this is where it gets a little bit complicated. I think you heard Mrs. Keller talk about this from the state level standpoint. So Fairlawn, we're looking at the 3 grade levels, grades 5, 8, and 11 across the bottom. Fairlawn grade 5, 43.3% proficient. Our comp group, 36.2%. We're ahead 7.1 points. Grade 8, Fairlawn, 35.5%. Our comp group, 25.9%. You see that dip from 5 to 8. There, we're 9.6 points ahead. Fairlawn, grade 11, red bar, 44.5%. Comparable districts, 32.5. We're 12 points ahead there. So I know what you're thinking because I'm thinking the same thing. When we look at grade 11, 44.5%, that means that only 44.5% of our students are meeting that proficiency. That's not good enough. That needs to improve. We agree, right? So, but what also means is that we are still outperforming the state. So this is beyond the Fairlawn problem. This is a New Jersey problem, right? So it goes into a lot of factors. For example, how the assessment is tied to what types of lab-based resources are being offered within schools and how that is a limiting factor for those assessments. The complexity of the science test on the NJSLA and the struggle that the state has had for years. 4 years. This is nothing new. And then lastly, something that's very near and dear to my heart is what I worked on my dissertation, the inquiry-based science approach, and how that's being assessed, but that doesn't necessarily translate with classroom instruction to the assessment. So both things can be true, and it's something that we're going to need to continue to further examine and look more closely at. One final comparison, we're adding in now the I and the J districts to the GHs. So here's where we include all of the districts, including all of the wealthier communities. Fairlawn continues to lead or achieve comparably. You can see we're either exceeding or neck and neck with even the school communities that have more resources than we do. So across the board, Fairlawn students are performing extremely well against their peers. So let's step back and look at what we've seen over the last 7 slides, 8 slides or so. In math, this is that initial slide of GH. 9 different assessments across 8 grade levels. Fairlawn leads every time. In English language arts, 7 consecutive grade levels from elementary through high school, Fair Lawn leads every time. In science, 3 grade levels against our comp group, Fair Lawn leads every time. So now I'm going to turn the program back over to Mrs. Keller because she's going to share with us what all of this means, because it's not just about recognizing the achievements and then the areas where we have improvements to be made, but then what are the interventions that we've been maintaining and what will we continue to do in order to support our students who need the most support.
All right, thank you. That was, we both very much so enjoyed looking at that and diving into it. And I know the supervisors also really enjoyed looking at it, and it gave them target districts to be able to reach out to and ask questions. And we're looking forward to when the state does its board presentation in December and then releasing its 2025 data, because based on our achievements and whatnot from 2025 from this spring, we're looking forward to also comparing to our comp groups as well this next time around. All right, so for achievements and interventions, the Language Arts Department is continually looking at best practices to be able to improve upon the department and reflect on what they're doing. There's support from this community, from the board, for a variety of resources that our teachers and our students use on a daily basis. So on each of these slides, we're looking at curriculum and instruction, highlighting things like NJSLA style reading and writing units, as well as tasks, intervention and targeted supports, which includes things like resources or our pull-out reading intervention program, various supports specific to different populations of students, coaching and professional learning. That is a huge, wonderful piece that we have here in Fair Lawn. We have such a wealth of knowledge and resources to be able to help and support our teachers. Coach-led data days are really wonderful ways to support our initiatives like MTSS and INRS to be able to analyze the data, design small groups, target support for students in the classroom. So these are all really important work and the pieces that we put together to support our students. And then that final row are the various different resources that we have available to our students and teachers throughout the district. In mathematics, similar to language arts, math has done a lot of work in these 4 areas to support MTSS, INRS, the NJSLA units. They're constantly looking at NJSLA data, their unit assessment data, analyzing to tweak pacing and add in different tasks. A lot of work was done last year in grade 6, so they were extremely proud of the growth that group of students saw, because they had targeted specific things for that grade. So we're always looking and reflecting, and you can see resources like even adding in Algebra 1 ICR. Like, all of these things are amazing investments and improvements that have been able to help our students. Specifically, programmatic changes, additional supports. They saw consistent growth in the subject area, in the cohorts, by having these conversations and interventions and things in place. And then finally, science. So Dr. Dionysio and myself have both talked about one of the challenges, or many of the challenges with science, the complexity of the content area. That's a big piece of it. When I even just read what was on the science assessment, it was a lot. It didn't flow as nice as language arts and math. Science is much more difficult. The standards are more difficult. They significantly shifted in the past few years, and that's good. That will be good science teaching, but it is more difficult. So one crucial goal is constantly making sure what we're doing, the work that we're doing, is grounded in the standards. We have to make sure that what we're doing is what we're supposed to be doing. Do our programs match it? Is our teaching matching what we need it to be? So that's a big focus, constantly bringing back to that. Another piece is just ensuring that our methods are effective for that actual instruction. So across the top piece, curriculum instruction, 2 things that I want to highlight that actually piggyback off of what Dr. Dionysio was just talking about in terms of his dissertation and his work, was that science having in areas of argument writing style, claims, evidence, reasoning, as well as 3-dimensional assessments. Those are crucial pieces towards science instruction and assessment, and actually do work very nicely with NJSLA style tasks. So it's good science. It also then practices to make sure we're actually showing those right skills for our students for their future assessments. And then we would like to highlight our NJSLA achievements. We talked about a lot of things, so to just kind of put it all together. Our language arts saw a nice increase overall. Our math saw a really big increase, 3.5% in language arts proficiency. Grade 6 mathematics saw the biggest, largest positive change with about 11%. And then the exceeding expectation, level 5 for that grade, reached 22.5%. That was really impressive. And language arts, that was one of the first numbers I said, 39% of students are exceeding expectations in this district, a level 5. We had over 130 perfect scores, 23 of them in math and 110 in language arts, and I thought this was extremely impressive. 37 students in grade 3 earned perfect scores on their language arts assessment. Math subgroups saw every single one of them improvements from 2024 and a bunch of them even from 23. And we are outperforming similar districts. We're outperforming the state, we're outperforming similar districts, we're outperforming a lot of even wealthier districts in socioeconomic status in nearly every assessment. And from there, I turn it over to Dr. Dionisio to speak about AP placement exam.
Thank you, Mrs. Keller. So the last part of this presentation before we turn it over to the board for questions and comments is to take a look at the snapshot of how the school district is doing in advanced placement exams through College Board. Specifically, because it's Advanced Placement College Board, this is related to Fair Lawn High School. So here's what expanding opportunities looks like in real numbers. More students taking more challenging courses, earning more college credit. You see across the bottom over the past 3 years that we didn't just maintain our AP program, we've begun to transform it. And that's a testament to the incredible work that's taking place at the high school with our administrators, our teachers, our counselors, and with central office support. 3 numbers tell this story. So first, I want you to take a look at participation. And if we look to the far left in 2022, 283 students took at least one AP course. Last year, to the far right, 2025, we had 362 students. That's a sizable increase. That's a 28% increase. That's 79 more students challenging themselves with college-level work. That's nearly 1 in 4 Fair Lawn High School students is now taking an AP course, which is up from 1 in 5, or 20%, just several years ago. The second point I want you to take a look at is volume, or the number of AP exams that we actually have administered. When we take a look here to the far left, in 2022, you see that the high school administered 641 AP exams. This year, in June, May, 851 exams. So that's 210 additional exams, another sizable increase of 33% in 3 years. And here's what that means in practical terms, that our students aren't just taking one AP course, they're taking more over time. We're expanding the opportunities to more unique students, not just giving more exams to the same students. That's a really important piece to expand opportunity and to remove barriers to rigorous coursework. So our students are not just dipping their toes in the water with AP and rigorous coursework, they're diving straight in. And those percent increases do not happen by accident. That's a concerted, strategic effort with a lot of work that goes into it. The third piece that I want to show is recognition. And that recognition is what the College Board calls the AP Scholars Awards. And that College Board recognition is a national, actually international recognition with how they identify students on their exams and how they perform. So if we take a look again to the far left, 3 years ago in 22, we had 102 AP scholars at Fair Lawn High School. In 2025, we had 159 students who were identified as AP scholars. What does it mean to be identified as an AP scholar? That means on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest score, 5 being the highest score, a passing score is a 3, so you needed to earn a 3, a 4, or a 5. 56% increase is a marked increase in that performance. From a raw number standpoint, the difference between 159 and 102 is 57 students. That's 57 more students who are graduating Fair Lawn High School with significant college credit than 3 years ago. That's 57 more families right now who will be saving thousands of dollars on college tuition if they're able to use those credits to earn credit at the college that they will be attending. That's 57 more students who have doors open to them. So some people might say, well, we're taking more AP students, more AP classes, we're just pushing these students into the AP courses. What does it mean as far as our performance goes? So that would be a fair question. So we're going to take you there now to show you that not only are we expanding opportunity, but we're also achieving at an even higher level. This chart shows you the AP student pass rate year over year since 2022. Same data set. So not only are students taking more AP courses, more rigorous coursework, but they're succeeding actually at a higher rate than ever before. In 2022, 84% of the students were scoring a 3 or better. In 2025, 96% of the students are scoring 3, 4, or 5. All right, so let me break that down as to what that means. That means that 96% of the students are eligible to earn college credit, which is incredible. That means that we have, for every 25 students who take an AP exam at Fair Lawn High School, 24 of them are earning college credit. For every 25 students who take an exam, 24 are passing and earning college credit. Incredible. 3 years ago, that number was 21 out of 25. That's that 84%. So what we've actually done is we've cut the non-passing rate by 75%, while already achieving at a high level. So nationally, I want to put this in perspective, that 96%. At the national level, College Board reports that approximately 60% of the students are scoring a 3 or better. At the national level, College Board states 60% of the students are scoring 3 or better. We're at 96%, while expanding opportunities and letting more students in. So that is a sizable difference. Next chart, let's take a look at how our students are performing as far as our school-wide average scores. Our students aren't just passing, they're excelling. Look again to the far left in 2022, the average AP score was a 3.5. Remember I said earlier, scale of 1 to 5, 3 is passing. 3 is what College Board calls qualified. 4 is what College Board calls very well qualified. And a 5 is what College Board calls extremely well qualified. So the misconception is, and I heard this when I taught AP Biology many, many moons ago, was that when I inherited 6 students from the year prior, that those students performed well. 95% of those students scored well. And then we wanted to expand that. And a lot of the fear and anxiety from teachers in the school and administrators at the time, this was over 20 years ago, was that the scores would dip. We increased the number of students from 6 to 66, and the performance level of 3 or better was 93%. And that's in a classroom setting. This is now a broader system setting that our Fair Lawn teachers, administrators, and counselors have been working on and finding much success. So when we take a look at these numbers here, let's see what they actually mean. So we've increased enrollment by 28% from a previous slide. We've increased exam volume by 33%. We've increased our passing rate by 14%. And now we have more students, more exams, and better results than before, right? We didn't just lower the bar, we expanded it, and now we raise the preparation of our teachers and of our students for those exams. Now let's put that into perspective when we take a look at the national context. So you see Fair Lawn on the left, the national averages on the right, and this is where I think the story gets even better. Fair Lawn's AP score last year, past 2 years really, has been 3.9. The national average has been 3.1. That's a gap of 0.8 points. That's 26% higher that Fairlawn's doing than the national average. Let's look at this from a consistency standpoint. If you look to the far left and you take a look at Fairlawn High School, 3.5. To the right, national average was 291. The following year, 3.8 compared to a 3. 2 years ago, 3.9 compared to 3.1. So year after year, Fairlawn is outperforming the nation, and in some instances by nearly a full point. That's significant. It's also significant from a cost standpoint, because if you take the average tuition of a state school and even some of the most expensive private schools, and you divide that total tuition, not room and board, just tuition, by, let's call it 30 credits, 15 a semester, you'll get anywhere between $1,600 and $2,500 or so per credit. That's $5,000 to $7,000 or $8,000 in savings per course. That's sizable on families' finances and a student financing their education. So this gap represents real advantages. So we have more students taking AP courses than ever before, more AP exams than ever before, and they're outperforming the nation. And these aren't separate stories. They're all intertwined. It's all part of one story. And you see on the far right, we don't yet have the 2025 national average. It's not yet released by College Board. They usually release that later on. But there's no reason to believe that the trends that we're seeing here will be any different once they'll be released out by College Board. So this doesn't happen by accident. I do want to acknowledge that this is the result of our AP teachers refusing to water down college-level curriculum, that this is the administration and the school counselors who encourage our students to take the leap, that this is our parents who are supporting their children, and that this is our students who are actually putting in all of the hard work. They're taking the leap, they're making the commitment, and they're putting in all of the time that's necessary in order to be successful. More importantly, that we're looking ahead to the future, we're starting to use a tool called AP Potential. The board has heard me say this before. Last year we implemented and we pay for the students now as young as 9th grade to take the PSAT. The PSAT is an indicator of future success. It's research and statistically based methodology in order to help identify potential in students for success in rigorous AP College Board courses. So as a result of that, that's a tool that we're using that will be able to inform our decisions. So then that way, not only are we removing barriers, but we're doing it in a way that's grounded in research. We're able to go to our students and our families and say, when we tap them on the shoulder at counseling time for scheduling, hey, you have the potential to be successful in these classes, and this is how we know. Here are all of the data points. So what we're doing is we're removing barriers to rigorous coursework. We're identifying students who have potential to be successful, and we're providing them with the high level of instruction and the support, and we're providing our teachers with the professional development that's necessary in order to be able to meet these expectations. So Fairlawn High School is extremely successful. These data points are something to be extremely proud of. It allows us to highlight all of the strengths that have been established here in this district for many years and continues to be able to move on. And I will go one step further, and that's it's also highlighting the areas that we're going to continue to be able to identify where our goals and objectives will rest, to be able to continue to push the envelope further. I'll also close by just saying that these results here are not the result of just the high school. We've talked a lot about K, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It is the foundation that is built at the elementary school that then leads to successful middle schools, that then leads to successful high school. I just want to thank the board for all of your support over the years and moving forward in the future to continue to meet the needs of our students and our staff who are on the front line. And I also want to extend gratitude to our teachers and our administrators and counselors and all support staff that make it possible. And I would be remiss if I didn't also recognize the incredibly hard work of our students who put it in and day out and are committed. and the support of our families. Fair Lawn is a strong, diverse, invested community, and that's a huge strength, and not everybody has that. So to be able to do all of this work in a constructive and strategic manner is critically important, because it lets us carve a pathway forward in order to be able to meet our students' needs. So, to anyone who says that our schools aren't performing high enough, here's what I want you to hear. I agree with your aspiration. We always want to be better. But I respectfully also challenge that premise, and that I believe that both things could be true at the same time. We are doing very, very well, and we always have room to grow. So with that, I'm going to now thank you all for your time and attention tonight. I know we provided you with a lot of context, and that was a lot to process. The next part of the presentation is to be able to turn it over to the Board of Education individually, so then that way we can hear from individual board members. Please share your comments and questions. Mrs. Keller and I will take notes. We will wait until all of the questions and comments are made, and then we will do our best to respond to all of your comments and questions at the end. And in some instances, as you know, we'll be able to answer holistically here on the spot, and perhaps in other instances, we will follow up with you via committee or via a report to the Board of Education. So I turn it over to Mrs. Mahan as our board president.
Dr. Bertolini.
I'd like to add a couple of things. First of all, I want to thank Dr. Dionisio and Ms. Keller for a very thorough and lengthy presentation tonight. We know that the state mandates, very lengthy, the state mandates a lot of the information you provided, but it also doesn't mandate a good part of what you presented. We often look at, I often look at, and I'm sure other people do, look at the comparison of Fair Lawn versus the state and say, of course we should do better than the state because urban areas score very poorly. And so the comparison between the state and Fair Lawn, that's not 6-7, by the way. The fact that we compare it to New Jersey, it's nice, but the fact that we compared it to the GHIJ factors is stunning. It's just wonderful how well we have done against those other districts. And the fact that I really thought, and Dr. Dionisio, I called him last week to say that I heard through the grapevine, I didn't hear from him, but I heard somewhere that we had 96% success rate in APs. And I thought it was a little voodoo math there, to be honest, because I was saying, how do we get that? And then looking after the explanation and looking at it tonight, again, it's just amazing that 96% of our students score 3 or higher on their AP exams. That's a stunning number. And the fact that we average 3.9 and we've increased the number of participants, if we had closed the gate and not let a lot of kids in and the numbers were reversed, I would say, But the fact that we've increased the number of students participating, increased the number of tests that are taken, still have a 96% rate, I'm just stunned. Where's next? What's the next thing? And 4, I want to thank and congratulate our central office for everything they've done, our building administrators, our faculty, our support staff, our students, and our parents, because it does take a village for these kind of numbers to be there. There's no doubt about that. And just in closing, we're just kicking butt, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Ms. Brownie.
The E is silent. No, I just, Ed kind of stole my thunder a little bit, even though his hand didn't go up first. No, I just want to point out a couple of things. You know, I've been on the board now for 2 years, so I've seen like the behind the scenes work that we do in the committees and things like that. And it's a testament to what our district is doing to push forward. You know, you've been here, our central office, you know, except for Camille, has been here for, you know, a few years. And you guys have really hit the ground. You've used, you know, Camille's institutional knowledge, and you've really hit the ground running. You know, math curriculum has changed and updated. I can personally attest to the changes at the middle school level. You know, math teachers are looping with the 5th and 6th grade students. I've seen that personally, and I really appreciate that. You know, and I think that's very beneficial to the students, and it's beneficial to continue them to move forward, as our test scores have shown. I really think that a lot of what's happening right now is a testament to what you guys do behind the scenes and how you lead. And it is absolutely a testament to our educators and our students' drive and our parents and our community, and how we really band together to make sure that everyone is successful. I think the next step that I'd like to see is taking that success and really focusing in on how we educate our students in science and how that curriculum needs to change and evolve, and how we implement science classes needs to continue to evolve. And I've already seen, discussions behind the scenes about that and how we're going to move forward with that. So I look forward to seeing that those conversations continue and the evolution of how we educate our students in science. So, and I thank you to you guys. That was so fascinating. And I just really appreciate the time that you guys took to really parse out everything and, not just look at the state and the bare minimum that you had to present to us, but you really took it a step further, listening to what we've said in previous meetings. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, thank you so much. Incredibly comprehensive, really insightful information. I'm a numbers girl, so that was really fun for me. Obviously, in addition to everything that everyone has already said, there's one thing you mentioned, which is that counselors, perhaps look at those PSAT scores in the younger grades to help students identify who maybe have that aptitude for AP tests. I would love to see that taken a step further. There may be students who maybe aren't scoring traditionally well on the PSAT test, but since we are expanding that AP Access, AP Art History, AP Music Theory, there may be students who aren't traditionally scoring well in the PSATs, but maybe have those opportunities in some of those more unique APs to also excel, to also have that. So I would love to see more comprehensive sort of thought on the counselor side, perhaps looking at aptitudes and other areas of interest of students to maybe encourage them also, who may not be, traditionally considered high achieving, but who may also really be interested in taking some of those classes, additional classes. Obviously not my area of expertise, but I'd love to see that move forward too. Thank you.
Ms. Ivalovich.
So I'd like to say thank you to the two administrators that presented. I know it's a lot of data, especially the demographics, the district factors. I know it's a lot of data that you have to put for every single one, so I know it's a lot of work. My couple of question is, one, will this presentation be put on the district website? Can the board see the numbers? I love to see numbers. I'm a big fan of all the hard work that you did. Since you did all the hard work, is there a possibility I can see the numbers on your Excel sheets? Not everyone, but I mean the whole board, if it's possible to be sent to them, if possible. My other couple of questions is, when we did the self-assessment for the HIB, you said 78 was the highest. What is the lowest that a district can provide for themselves for the score? So, and my last comment is, I think the AP scores are extremely wonderful, but then I was looking at the 5th grade math scores, and I'm not trying to be mean in any shape or form, but in 5th grade, 32% failed. That's 1 out of 3. In 6th grade, almost 1 out of 3, 27%. In 7th grade, 1 out of 3. In 8th grade, 57%, based on the numbers, or maybe I misunderstood. To me, when I send my child to school, 1 out of 3, if 1 out of the 3 students fail, to me, that's not good enough. I know we need to do much better. I understand the demographic roots, but I think we can do a lot better. Fair Lawn is an amazing community. We have an amazing group of people in it, and I think we could do a lot better than that. Thank you.
Mr. Santana.
Yes. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Dr. Dionisio and Ms. Keller and Central Office, our teachers, parents who support students, and our wonderful students, the next generation, the leaders of tomorrow. I'm an educator. I've been teaching for 22 years. I'm a former AP teacher and AP reader. I like 90% proficiency. That's my gold standard for everybody's child, everybody's grandchild. That's my. I may sound selfish, but that's my gold standard. 90% proficiency. That's what put a smile on my face. I agree with the superintendent, and I appreciate, you've been here for 2 years, and I'm happy. I'm very happy to see what you have brought to the district, and I like what you said. Both things can be true. We're doing very well, and there's room for improvement. I would like to know, what can the board do to provide the necessary resources so we can see greater increase in the DLM scores for our students with significant intellectual disabilities? Also, what can the board do to help the district to provide what resources the district needs so we can see greater improvement in the achievement of our minority students, Black, Hispanic, and also white, on ELA? I am glad to see that we are doing better as compared to GH districts. But just because we're doing better than them, that doesn't mean those scores are to my satisfaction. 60, 70%, they don't bring a smile to my face. 90% brings a smile to me. And I know the teachers are working very hard. I know the parents are reaching out to the teachers, making sure the children are doing their homework, being supportive of the students. The students are working hard, but we have to set the bar higher. We have to set the bar higher. I know we're doing it, but we got to keep doing it. I would like to see, I know you stated that the PSAT for freshmen is a data tool to see which students will do well on AP exams. Like my fellow board member who stepped out, I do think that we need to use other measurements and motivate our young girls to go into science, math, and engineering, which many of them are often not encouraged. Thank you.
Mr. Elia.
Thank you, Dr. Dionisio and Ms. Keller, for that report. I very much appreciate the details and always the comparative report to the other districts and seeing that perspective. I do want to give a kudos to all the AP teachers and all those who took on that challenge, and those who have passed. Those numbers really are extraordinary. Just the question that I had regarding the science and GSLA, is there a way that we could provide professional development for our teachers in the high school and any of those grade levels to be able to observe teachers in maybe those I districts or districts that are performing higher in science, like being able to observe which districts have high scores for those science levels, what's working for them, and having our teachers be able to go out and see what their approaches are and what they're doing, and seeing that if that can make a difference over time for our science.
Mr. Baldowski.
Having sat through a few of these presentations this season through my job, I will say that this is the most comprehensive one I have sat through, so I appreciate that. And I specifically want to highlight the cohort data that was included, since that's been something that I've asked for in the past, and it's great to see. I want to highlight, and I'm intrigued as to the decreases that we see in ELA and math at the 4.5, 8.9, then the 4.5. And I wonder if there's a transition component with that as they transition to the different schools. When it comes to 7.8, I question whether that's the change in math curriculum as you move from the grade-specific math to the algebra math. So that was just something I spotted through that. But it's incredible to see that overall, our cohorts are moving in the positive direction. It is great also to see the comparative districts. It just shows that Fairlawn is such a desirable town to live in. Our schools continue to exceed those towns that we may consider more affluent. But thank you for adding that data in as well. When it comes to science, I think something that we often need to remember, and I think it was highlighted quite well, but I'm just going to emphasize once again, it's every 3 years. And so a student in 5th grade isn't going to remember the science they took because it's cumulative, I believe, of the type of science when you may be in the midst of learning earth science, but now you have to do something from a couple years ago of physics or something that you can't remember. And so there has to be a better way, I'm saying at the state level, to track those numbers. And echoing what Ed had mentioned of our AP scores increasing even while our participation is increasing. It's not that it's the same students or the same number of students that are excelling. It is more students are further excelling. So I simply want to thank the administration, thank the teachers, and most importantly, thank these students that have been doing the work, whether it's in the AP classes or sitting through these state-mandated tests that aren't all too exciting, but it's important data for us. So thank you.
Ms. Yearman.
Thank you. Just wanted to thank, I'm going to repeat what everybody else said. I thank everybody that was involved in the making of this presentation, as well as the teachers, the administrators, and parents and students and everybody else that's involved. I did have a question, actually 2 minor questions. One is I am worried about our science curriculum as it's taught now, K to 6, about the regression and recoupment of knowing that it's paired with social studies on a yearly basis. So that concerns me. And then I just had a general question, not necessarily related to Fairlawn, but on the AP exams, what percentage of students actually get college credit based on a score? Because I've heard both sides, but based on a score of 3 or 4, actually get the college credit when they transferred over to college. And the other thing, which wasn't here, was our immediate, and I see the difference. I'm glad we have what we have. Is our demographic group just in Bergen County itself. So not that I was hoping to see, but I like what I saw, but I would really like to compare to the Bergen County demographic group of GH. And that's it. And thanks for everything. Greatly appreciated.
I just had one clarifying question. So we referenced that K through 6 in math is standard. So does that mean the students that are taking 6A, which is pre-algebra, are still taking the 6th grade NJSLA? Does that mean that the kids who are in 6E, which would be identified as a 7th grade curriculum, are taking 6th grade and not 7th grade? I just want to make sure we're clarifying that, because that would actually feel like an inequity. We're asking a 6th grader who's taking pre-algebra to then sit for the 6th grade NJSLA math. They're learning a level of rigor that is above, so you'd think that they have the prerequisite skills, but they're not explicitly taught it. So they should be sitting for the NJSLA that they were taught curriculum-based. So if someone could just clarify that with me, that would be very helpful. Thank you. Mr. Santana.
Dr. Dionisio, correct me, when you get to answer this, correct me if I'm wrong. The students take the test based on their prior year of instruction. For example, the Algebra 1 students will be taking the 8th grade math test. That's what I understand as an educator. Other districts, beside the great idea of Mr. Elia, which I agree, some districts do science fair district-wide, math Olympics. I would like, as a board member, this is my opinion, we have 9 board members here. I would like to see district-wide math competitions. I would like to see district-wide science competition. I would like to see more girls being encouraged to go into science, math, and engineering. I would like to see a greater emphasis of that because remember, you know, the tomorrow's invention need input from everyone, you know, and if we don't diversify the pool of scientists for tomorrow's challenges, our country is going to be very disadvantaged. We are competing with nations that are putting a lot of resources into their scientific advancement, China, Russia, you name it. And our children need to be able to compete with those world powers, China, Russia, you name it. So, you know, within the available means of the community, of the taxpayers, because we don't have, you know, some of us don't have deep pockets, but we have to invest the necessary resources to educate our children the proper way. And, you know, I want to support our schools with whatever they need so we can raise the achievement. But perhaps if the district can consider having some math and science competitions district-wide, science fair district-wide, and but not the old-fashioned ones with the, you know, with the, how you call that, those 3-panel boards. No, like advanced robotics competition district-wide. I would like to see that. You know, I would like to see that. And like Mr. Elliott said, in the areas where we need to show growth, perhaps offering professional development to those teachers so they can visit other districts where there are some best practices to emulate. And perhaps looking at our curriculum, I know we look at the curriculum, but perhaps looking at our curriculum and our benchmark to see if they match the standards. Because I have, you know, I have heard, you know, stories of people in the community saying, well, my child does very well in class, but they're not doing well in the benchmark. So perhaps the benchmark have to be more aligned to the standards. Thank you.
Dr. Dionisio.
Well, first, Mrs. Keller and I and the entire administrative team appreciate the dialogue, the feedback, the insight. That's how we end up hearing the perspectives and then being able to address them and then also to be able to kind of carve a path forward. So I'm going to just address some of the issues more holistically, just on some of the notes that I took. We will certainly be able to follow up at future committee meetings. And Mrs. Keller also will be able to provide some support and response as well. So on the back end, you know, as you can imagine and you shared, there's quite a bit of work that goes into this level of analysis, right? This has been taking a considerable amount of time. But we did it because we find this extremely valuable. And this is a practice that we've consistently done, I've consistently done with team members in other districts, and I know Mrs. Keller has as well. So that's the first part. The next part is that on a granular level, the function and the operation and the responsibility of the administrative team is to now go and take this data and then make sense of it. So we painted a picture of where we're doing well and where we can continue to improve. But now we're going to be able to go and take a look at what school districts and our comp groups are outperforming us and what are they doing differently that we can learn from, right? So that's the purpose of this exercise, right? Because then that leads to initiatives, interventions, professional development, and resources. So I know some board members have mentioned, what can the board do? Well, hold tight, because budget season's around the corner, and we're coming for you. So we're going to come, and we're going to have the recommendations, right? Because there are needs, and we will have to figure out what can fit in the budget and where we prioritize these needs. To the point around science, you know, we heard Mrs. Keller talk about claims, evidence, and reasoning. That feeds into inquiry-based science instruction. So continuing to commit to that and the professional development. And I'll let her speak to that in a moment. As far as the AP potential, we provide PSAT scores or administration of the PSAT to students not just in grade 9. We expanded it to grade 9 because of the value that's there. But we do that in grades 9 through 11. And then we use that score. It's not just to prepare kids for the SAT, but it's to prepare students for, yes, the test taking for the SAT, but we see value with being able to scale that AP potential work. We are in the infancy stages here now of using AP potential, so it's fairly new. It's something that there's a lot of value in, and we're going to continue to scale it. But that takes time, that takes support, and then the administration will do that with our teachers and with our counselors. In addition, there are a number of different indicators that can be used. You know, I've used things as like Angela Duckworth's grit scale and Carol Dweck's growth mindset scales, and you can use those as indicators as well. AP Potential actually does work for AP Art History, and is also correlated for AP Music Theory. So these are measures that we'll continue to revisit to identify students across all domains and all courses. The HIB self-assessment, the lowest score on that is a 0, the highest is 78. We will, of course, publish the presentation with relation to like what we could do regarding DLM or our different demographic groups. That goes to learning from other districts where we're seeing that they're outperforming us, and doing a deeper dive on that. So I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Keller to address maybe some of the other points.
All right, so in terms of, so doing this exercise with the comp districts was actually super useful. So supervisors have been able to reach out, and actually has already started in science, to reach out to other districts. And besides just teaching strategies, there's more to learn in differences from districts that actually Ms. Yerman kind of spoke to a bit with her point before. So there's other things we can look at in terms of K to 12 and how science differs in the district. So that has actually started happening. Additionally, we're part of a Bergen County curriculum group, and that is a big focus for the county because we're seeing this collectively across Bergen County that this is a need. So that's one of our PD focuses, that we loop the science department in with that. Mr. Beldowski, that's a great point in terms of the transitions and, you know, looking into that. So that was definitely part of conversations with the supervisors. So science does spiral at this point now, the best practices with the standards, but it is, you know, there is possible that something happened 3 years ago and that it's such a detailed piece of it. So that is part of it, in like looking and seeing in ways we can infuse and ensure things are current when we're actually being assessed. The question about what students take which tests. So as a middle school math teacher for 13 years, the various different levels, when students are in like pre-algebra or accelerated, they're generally taking at or above their content level knowledge. So in math, 7th grade, in order to be able to do pre-algebra, which is really like 7th and 8th grade math, you have to really have a foundation in the vast majority of your 6th grade ability. So they still, you know, they always perform very, very well. And so that is how that works. So the only ones that take separate assessments are Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. Otherwise, they take it with their grade level peers. And then in terms of Mr. Santana, you asked about what tests they're taking. The field tests that they're taking right now, they are taking their previous year's grade, but come in spring, they take their end of year assessment. And then we actually do have math competitions in the middle schools and at the high school. We're actually, I think, approving some field trips tonight for that. They're super highly competitive. You know, some kids go to national championships. Like, you know, there's a lot we can do with those type of competitions. So that's a great thing for kids that really love math and want to be enriched and are like the best, right? You know, or just want to challenge themselves. That's a really good thing to be part of because you get to meet people on a state level, you know, throughout the county and the state. It's a great opportunity. So we love the idea of challenging our students through STEM and math through fun ways, like challenges as well. So, and I think I highlighted a lot of the pieces, and we'll follow up on.
I meant in-district competition.
Oh, okay. All right, fair. Okay. Thank you very much for this evening. It was a really nice experience, first time with doing the NJSLA, and I realize it is a very long night, but I appreciate all of the feedback, and thank you to everyone. This, while we worked on this a lot, this was a collective effort of so many individuals between the actual work, but also even just putting together and checking all the information and helping, you know, assist with all of the information. So sincerely, thank you. Okay.
Thank you, everyone. I turn it over to our Madam President.
Thank you both so much. It is 9:43. I am going to do a 5-minute recess. Please use the bathroom, and then we will resume with committee reports. So please return by 9:48. reference when the next committee meeting is scheduled. Avoid introducing new business that has not been vetted through the committee, and submit any written summary reports to the superintendent and board secretary for inclusion in the minutes. Dr. Bertolini.
I am requesting that since we had a double meeting, that I get 6 minutes.
No.
Okay. Can we vote on that? No, I'm just kidding. But we did have a double meeting the other night. Okay. Education Committee meeting. I'll go over the topics and the discussion that took place. First of all, the cell phone policy, which was at the request of Dr. Dionisio, the major discussion for all the committees in the month of October. Ms. DeFranco updated the committee on the Fair Loan cell phone policy. The process was thorough, 25+ meetings throughout the year, and with administrators, teachers, parents, etc. Nearly 3,000 survey responses and input from teachers and administrators at every level. The discussion covered updated language and possible limited phone use during lunch, with 2 members wanting no hallway usage during the day. The action taken, the draft will continue to be shared by other committees of the Board of Education before the new policy is put into effect, hopefully in February. Is that still, Dr. Denise, February still? Cell phone policy around? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
That's the goal.
That's the goal. Okay, good. District PDP, Ms. Keller presented the professional development plan, which is posted. It reflects our district goals, and the board discussed it and made updates. The induction plan, which is basically teacher mentoring. It's a 4-year program. It's much more extensive than what the state requires. And it's very helpful for new teachers. New teachers come into any district, including Fair Lawn, and struggle right away because they're new and they're inexperienced. And the 4-year mentoring program that we do is just a wonderful program for us. Updated elementary after-school enrichment programs. The first enrichment session was successful, and we're still working on, as discussed at the meeting, the district is working on ways to reimburse families who paid earlier but are on free and reduced lunch. And that will continue until we do that, and also for this the next session of enrichment. We had a discussion on anti-Semitism and whether or not we want to have a specific policy on anti-Semitism. The board held discussions on the following topics: school calendar, Jewish Heritage Month petition, First Amendment rights and flag policy. The board discussed consistency with past decisions. Dr. Dionisio made 2 points. First, creating one policy may set a precedent for creating others. Secondly, our current policies also protect all people from discrimination. That was a pretty lengthy discussion by our committee. Other future items for discussion: the Bergen Community College contract, whether or not we want to continue to fund that. Regulations 5440, policies 9130, and regulation 9130. And then the discussion on whether or not we want to expand Edison into a pre-K to help decrease overcrowding at Milnes and in Radburn. Math and social studies course updates. Artificial intelligence, academic integrity needs to be updated, and then also chain of command. Our next meeting is November 13th, 6:30 here. It'll probably run late. Thank you. It always runs late. Thank you.
Ms. Vivalovich.
So the policy that you mentioned, the 5440 regulation is blank. I was wondering, why didn't the committee not?
Wait, hold on.
We can ask questions. That's what they said. That's what they said last board meeting. That's what the attorney said.
I'm sorry. The way your agenda says, it says committee reports, then the board members can ask questions.
Anybody have another report?
I went to the pedestrian safety committee and we talked about various different things they want to do. One of the things they're thinking of doing, they're repaving Laurie Street and next to the school with the L. Come on, help me out. Linkhurst. Okay, my brain is tired. And they want to do a bump out so the parents can just drop the kids off as they're driving so they don't have to stop. And that was one way to alleviate traffic. One of the things I talked about is by Forest School, how there should be some kind of hump or like some kind of bump or something so that it will slow down the resident. I mentioned it multiple times, and the town says everything is fine, and there's no blinking light, blinking beaker for Forest School or any other schools nearby. Another thing they want to do next to Forest is the stop sign with the blinkers. So that's what they're petitioning right now. Thank you.
I am going to.
Here, point of order.
Yeah.
Comment on,
I have to report out.
oh, I apologize.
I need to report out on behalf of Mr. Baldowski for Finance and Buildings and Grounds as the sub-chairperson in Joe's absence. Mr. Franco presented an update on our cell phone policy. We discussed the tentative fiscal year 27 tentative budget calendar to start budget season. We will review all the agenda items to take place at our next public meeting, which is this evening. We discussed our comprehensive maintenance plan, our health and safety evaluation, our 5-year maintenance garage lease, gov deals, the auction of a large box truck, and the YMCA Garfield rental agreement. We also discussed that our auditors are completing the school year 24-25 audit and will continue to evaluate all professional services and go out for RFPs to ensure we're getting competitive services. And it was important to note that the AGYM is part of our current priority list to be addressed and updated in the next year, as well as the fact that the community school programs receive 98% registration from our current residents. And then in regards to our 2025-2026 construction update, updates were provided on construction projects and the cause for ones that are delayed. And we are in the process of evaluating the electric load, and our next meeting, which will return to Mr. Baldowski, is on 11/13/2025 at 7:30 p.m. Anyone else have a report to provide? Okay, then we can take questions on committee reports.
So my question, oh, did I get recognized? So my question is the 5550 and the 9130, why wasn't that discussed? And my other question, should I say all the question at once? I don't know how are we doing this today? My other question is, it's been like 8 months since the chain of command been on the agenda for the education committee meeting. I was just wondering why hasn't it been discussed for the past 8 months? And then there was another question. I'll come back.
Mr. Santana, you ready to finish?
Yeah. For the education committee meeting, did you discuss that there should be a policy in place where children who wouldn't want to call home can call home regardless of anything, K through 8, because of the cell phone policy? Was there a discussion for K through 8 that if the cell phones will be with the cell phone policy, that students who want to call home at any time can call home without any questions? Did we discuss that?
Mr. Santana.
Yes, I would like to ask both chairs of the Buildings and Grounds, Finance, and Education Committee, why are we violating policy 0155? We have a board policy that states that when a committee member, in this case myself, submits a topic, the topic must be discussed within 2 meetings. We had more than 2 meetings. We have had 2 meetings or more since I sent a discussion, a topic for discussion. June 25th, expansion of Edison School into a pre-K through 4th grade school to help decrease overcrowding at Mills and Radburn schools. Parents that send their kids to Mills and Radburn are sending their kids to schools that are overcrowded. And based on the have been overcrowded, are overcrowded, and based on the demographic studies, will continue to be overcrowded. So I follow the process, the policy. The policy that we have is we send a topic to the committee, and the policy says it must be discussed within 2 meetings. I follow the process. This was done in June. Next week is November, and this has not been discussed. That's not acceptable. That's not acceptable when people that send their kids to Mills and Radburn are paying high taxes. Some of them are paying association dues.
Mr. Santana, can you please pose these as a question?
So, yes, let me restate my question. My question is to the chair of the Education Committee and to the chair of the Finance and Building Committee, why are you not following board policy? If there needs to be more meetings to follow the board policy, you need to have more meetings, because the topics that were sent within the time, within the timeline of the policy, those topics are priority. Otherwise, there will be a violation of board policy. Right now, both committee chairs violated board policy because my topic was not discussed. And according to the policy, it should have been discussed within 2 meetings. And if you didn't have enough meetings, you shouldn't have enough meetings.
Answer? I would appreciate it.
Yeah, but I was finishing my sentence. I would like to know why the board policy was not followed. Thank you.
So I'm actually going to respond to that. Can I borrow that? Policy states, agenda items shall be decided upon by the chairperson in consultation with the superintendent. Should a board member, whether a member of the committee or not, wish for a topic to be brought for the discussion at a committee meeting, they shall email the chairperson with said request. Clarify. The item will be put on a future agenda of one or of the next 2 meetings of the committee. Unfortunately, you're not going to like this answer, but the policy states that it has to be put on the agenda. What supersedes our topics would be the topics that our administration put on first. So there is no technical violation of policy. Is it fair? Probably not. However, Dr. Dionisio and his team's topics supersede ours because their topics directly relate to the business of the board.
Point of information, the education of the children in Mills and Rapper is very important. And they should not be put in the second
I have to tell you that if you were to review the enrollment, you will see that over the last 2 years, enrollment has decreased at Mills. So I appreciate what you're trying to say. However, I'm going to be very clear. At this point in time, there is no violation of the policy. Thank you.
Point of information, through the chair, Mr. Board Attorney. The Board Attorney can tell us if there's a violation. The policy says word for word. I know this is your first meeting, but the policy says shall be discussed.
It does not say that. The policy says that the item will be put on a future agenda of one of the next 2 meetings of the committee. The discussion, it says, if you want, it's brought for discussion at a committee meeting, and they shall email it. There's nothing in your policy that says it has to be discussed. It doesn't. It says the item will be put on a future agenda of one of the next 2 meetings of the committee. And I can tell you that the board, again, let's back up for a second. The board makes policy. You do not run day-to-day operations. The person who runs the day-to-day operations is the gentleman sitting to my right and his team. And so when they're putting together these committees, they're talking about day-to-day operations and what has to get done to get done. So can it be discussed at a future meeting? It can. It's going to be placed on the agenda, but it's not mandated to be discussed at that meeting. So if this is something, and there's nothing that precludes you as a board member, if you have one of these issues, to talk to the superintendent and say, this is the issue, what's going on. If it's the TJ Mill School, where I lost my 2 front teeth when I was 13, that's what my recommendation to you would be, to talk to the superintendent. You guys have access to the superintendent. You've got a very accessible superintendent. He can then have the discussion with you. It doesn't necessarily have to be on a committee agenda. And then if there's not a discussion, you can ask him, why wasn't it discussed? And he can explain to you, we had these other items, and this is why it wasn't discussed because, and I don't know the details of it, but the policy does not require a discussion. It just requires placed on an agenda.
Point of information. What the practice that we have been doing ever since I got reelected this year is a board member emails the topic and it's discussed within 2 meetings. What the board president stated respectfully, has not been the practice that we have been doing. And if any board member here can correct me if I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong. But what we have been doing is emailing the topics, and the topics have been under the expectation that they will be discussed within 2 meetings. All of a sudden now, October 30th is a different interpretation. The children that attend Mills and Radburn are going to school in a school that is overcrowded, was overcrowded, and will be overcrowded. So we need to do whatever it takes to prepare for the future. What I want to do is not something that is going to have an immediate effect. We have to think long term, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We have to plan ahead. Forget about me. Forget about, don't think it's Wilkins Santana sponsoring. We need to plan ahead, because it's not fair for 2 schools to have so much overcapacity. You know, now,
Mr.
later,
Santana,
in the future.
pardon the interruption. Your 3 minutes are up. We wanna
Okay,
give,
no problem.
other
Sorry.
Board members an opportunity.
I would also just like to provide some context that I hope will be helpful. So, as it relates to agenda items for the business of the board and the operations of the district, to some of the points that have been shared already, there are a number of time-sensitive matters that have to be brought to the board via committee in order to conduct the functioning of the school district without interruption. So that's number one. So those things will take priority. I think what will also be hopefully helpful for the board to recall is back during the State of the Schools presentation in May, we did an extensive presentation with our architects on the facility study. And we also had a demographer come in and present on the demographic analysis around enrollment. Aligned with that, now the goal for this year, which is actually part of our district goals and objectives that we reviewed with the board a few months ago and we approved. The long-term goal is for the administration to review the needs in the facility study and the needs around enrollment. And the board can expect a recommendation around the impact of that once we get into late winter, early spring, because we're analyzing the demographic enrollment analysis moving forward and what impact that will have on the facilities. So the administration's working on that this year. That's not something that can happen on the dais or even in a committee without that work getting done. So we're working on that, and we'll be bringing that forward within the next 6 months or so.
Would you like to answer, Ms. Ivalovich?
I've asked the chair of the committee, because isn't the chairs have to answer, not the. So.
It can also be deferred to myself or our superintendent or legal counsel.
I think in relation to, we discussed the cell phone policy. We had spirited discussion around the feedback. We had received over, I think, approximately 3,000 survey responses from the community with their input. We reviewed that input in alignment with what the requirements are under the new law that it will be coming next year from the governor's office. We are looking at the discussions and the feedback we receive from the stakeholder committees. That includes students, staff, administration, and parents. We took all of those meetings and all of that feedback, along with the recommendation template from Strauss Esme, our policy company. And as a result of that, we landed on a policy and regulation recommendation that took into consideration of over 3,000 constituent stakeholders. The board had an opportunity to deliberate on that. We're taking that feedback into consideration, and then I will then be making a recommendation next month based on all of that input before the board. As all board policies require, there will be 2 readings, so the board can further discuss that at that time when that's recommended in the upcoming month.
And my other question regarding the 91, the 2 policies wherein they discuss, one is a regulation, one is blank, and one is completely mismatched from the policy.
So once again, those will be discussed at future committee meetings when we don't have other time-sensitive topics that were put on the agenda. As you will recall, there were a number of topics that we did put ahead of that that board members had recommended for discussion, so we prioritized those. And the meeting was actually quite lengthy. If I recall correctly, that last committee meeting was well over an hour. It may have been an hour and a half plus. So we will move those items to a subsequent meeting moving forward.
And just to clarify for the trustees, our policy of the whole meeting, which will be in November, actually touches on several of the policies that trustees have stated are of concern. So stay tuned for that.
Point of clarification, when is our meeting? I was never informed of anything. For the policy, November, what? No, nobody ever done.
It's at our meeting.
So during our meeting. Gotcha.
So we are going to move
One-
into,
I have a comment. I have another,
is it specific to a committee report?
yes. I will be pursuant to our board policy, I will be making a request to the committee chair for the education committee. Since we have several outstanding topics that have yet to be discussed, pursuant to a board policy, I will be requesting an additional meeting because we cannot wait until our next meeting for November
It's
13th.
not a question regarding Dr. Bertolini's committee report. So it is 10:10. You're welcome to email him. But right now, we have to get to the business of the board. Thank you. Stop. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. So we are moving into public comments on agenda items. This portion of our board meeting is specifically for comments on resolutions listed in tonight's agenda. It does not include the committee reports or the presentation provided by Dr. Dionisio. I apologize. I do realize that it is a late evening. Unfortunately, for those of you that are here regarding the petition, that is to be discussed during other business. So please state your name and municipality of residence, specify which resolution you are addressing, limit your remarks to 3 minutes. State law prohibits board members and administrators from discussing personnel matters, student discipline, or other confidential issues. Please note, this is not a dialogue or a question and answer session between speakers and the board. While we may not respond immediately or to every comment made tonight, all input is carefully considered and helps inform our decisions. Responses may come through emails, reports, board statements, website updates, or after the comment period closes. Thank you for your participation in our school community's governance. The floor is open to commentary on agenda items only.
Point of order. Point of order, Madam President. The superintendent comments included the Jewish heritage. So according to Robert's rules, since those comments included, the community should be able to speak on that now.
That's not, it's incorrect. If you look at the board,
I apologize.
guys, under your,
I'm sorry.
excuse me, please. Under your bylaws, you have 2 agenda items. One is for agenda items only, which this is, and then the second one is for any item. And so that is not an agenda item. It's not on your agenda. The agenda items are, we can go through them right now, but if you look at it, it's, you have the superintendent items, retirements, approvals of HIBs, approval of scholarships. You have approval of appointments. That's the agenda. That's what this comment's for. If you guys can move this through, if there's not a lot of questions, you can get to the public comment for non-agenda items, which would be anything at all, including something that's not on the agenda, like the petition that was circulated.
I do apologize. Is there anything on the agenda that is related to a resolution on the agenda?
Ma'am?
Is there anything on the, on resolutions on agenda items? Okay.
Ma'am, you've got to stop talking from.
Is there anything?
This is. Well, you know what, but we also operate, excuse me. So,
Point of order, point of order, Madam President. I would like to make a motion to allow the public to speak. Can I get a second, please?
Yes, second.
Second. Let's vote. Call the roll.
I'm going to open the floor to discussion on the motion. No, I have to open the floor to discuss it. Any,
Rita.
Dr. Bertolini?
Yes, I certainly, I know it's a late hour, and there's two parts of the agenda, one for comments on the agenda and one for any comments at all, which is what you're here for. I appreciate that. It's been a very long meeting. Hopefully we'll get through the agenda items quickly, and then you'll be able to speak. No one's saying you can't speak. It's just a very long meeting tonight. So again, there are two parts. The second part is where it's open discussion on any topic, and you can be part of that. It's not, you're not going to be excluded. It's just going to take a little time. It shouldn't take that long. It's going to take a little time. Thank you.
Anyone else? Please do. As long as it's on a resolution on an agenda item, absolutely.
Oh, we're in the middle of a motion. We're not done with the comments with the motion. We're in the middle of a.
Give her a second, I'll have her sit. Anyone else have commentary?
Yes, I made that motion. I understand I understand we have we have a process, comments on the agenda. I have a different of opinion with that interpretation, and the comments on anything else. But being that the community was not aware that the presentation from the superintendent was going to take that long, which was very important, by the way, Dr. Dionisio, and being that we have to be respectful of the community's time. Some of these people got here at 7, so they've been here for 3 hours. So I can't look at my neighbor's face and not be ashamed if I don't allow them the courtesy and the respect to speak. You know what? They pay taxes. They're our neighbors. We have to see each other at the supermarket tomorrow. Allow them to speak. Please vote yes on the motion.
I did other remarks of Mr. Santana. I look at the agenda of 1J and under superintendent comments, which is part of the agenda. He talked about the issue, so it should be in as part of the agenda items. And also, in the past, we have allowed the public to speak during this time in recent meetings because of timing and everything else. So I would just like to mention that.
Make a suggestion. Let me just make a suggestion. My suggestion would be that Mr. Santana withdraws his motion and makes a new motion, and that motion would be to combine the discussion on agenda and non-agenda items. So you'd have one public comment session now so people could get up and speak on agenda or non-agenda items. There won't be a second public comment at the end, and that would take place before you have the vote on the agenda.
Point of clarification, does that mean we're going to get double the amount of time we can speak? Because
Absolutely not. You get 3
that's
minutes.
not fair. No, but that's not fair. Let's just keep it the way it is because they're going to blow. We are not allowed to speak.
Elected officials should not be, we should not be micromanaging our own speech.
Mr. Santana,
Mr.
out of order.
I mean, in all deference to you, you guys have a bylaw that specifically lays out how your meetings are operated. And under the Open Public Meeting Act, you're only really required to have one comment period. You have 2. You have one on agenda items and one on non-agenda items. And the president made a good point. You guys could do, another thing is you guys, I know, but I can just say it. The other option you could do, if you want to speed this up to get to the public comment on non-agenda items, is you guys could make a motion for a consent agenda and pass your, do a consent agenda on your agenda items, and you could just have it, you're not going through every one of them, and that would speed this up.
Point of clarification.
You guys are asking, like,
Wait, can I, Madam President, can I answer to the attorney, please?
well,
Right now, as the chair, holding the chair of this board right now, I am recognizing Julie Mahan to speak for her comments during this discussion. Julie?
I'd like to make a subsidiary motion to complete a consent agenda. That way, we don't have to wait any longer for our community to speak, right? It would go very quickly, and it would allow us to follow our bylaws, but ensure that the current members that are present, it's expedited. So I'd like to make a subsidiary motion for a consent agenda so that we can move through our current resolutions, so then our community can speak.
I'll second that.
So I'm the chair for the moment. Discussion on the subsidiary motion. Mr. Santana.
I appreciate the subsidiary motion. However, it is not necessary because it is circumventing my motion, and I feel that my motion is being micromanaged. I think, and Robert's rules gives the power to the chair, the board president, to not need this procedure. The chair of the meeting, based on past practice, based on precedent, and based on my understanding of Robert's rules, can allow the public to speak right now.
Sir, you're incorrect. And frankly, all this discussion, all we're doing is delaying the public the ability to speak. So what I would suggest you guys do, if you want to expedite it so these folks can speak on non-agenda items, is you take agenda items, you combine the subsidiary motion, have a consent agenda, and then they can speak. They could be speaking within the next 5 minutes if we do this. But all this discussion is just delaying this further. At the end of the day, you are a policy body. You follow the policy. The policy does not give the chair the right to deviate from your policy on agendas.
Point of information, that has been done many times on this board for many years.
Many times I've been here tonight, and I've only probably gone to about 4,000 public meetings in my 30-year career, and I'm telling you, we follow the policy. And the policy has agenda items and non-agenda items. If you want to expedite it, comments on agenda items, if you follow the president's suggestion to make it a consent motion on the agenda, you can get to the non-agenda item comments very quickly. But the more comments we have, we're just delaying the public's ability to speak.
Call the question.
Right.
I have to recognize you first, and there was an outstanding discussion still with Ms. Favolovich, correct?
Yes.
Yes, Ms. Favolovich has the discussion first.
I wanted to ask the board attorney before, many times we switched the public comments and the board comments, we flipped it. We always did it and we voted on it and everybody was happy and we called it a day. Why can't we do this before? We did this multiple times if you look at our agenda.
At the end of the day, you come together once a month to conduct board business. Your agenda is your business. So the reason that you have, and this is very typical in almost every public body, where they have comments on agenda items and then non-agenda items. So flipping it, I would not recommend doing that because you're deviating from your board policy. If you guys want to do that, you should change your board policy or change your board policy and you can combine the two so it's comments on agenda and non-agenda items. But then as you pointed out, it limits people to one comment of length. So I think the most expeditious way to do it is to vote on the subsidiary motion to combine, to make it a consent agenda, have the agenda comments, and then you can immediately pass the consent agenda and then have non-agenda items.
Any other discussions on the subsidiary motion? Ms. Brown?
Call the question so we can get them to speak.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
It has to be second, according.
Already seconded by Mr. Elia had seconded the subsidiary motion.
No, I mean call the question.
Oh, call the question. Ed, correct?
You don't have
Yes.
to second.
Second.
You don't have
That's
to-
what they said. School boards. That's what school boards taught us.
Oh, well, you don't have to do it.
I'll second it. Second, third, fourth, and
Whether
fifth.
we need the second or not, Dr. Bertolini, may I have a roll call for the subsidiary motion that we go to a consent agenda for tonight with our items?
Just for tonight.
Mr. Podolsky.
Yes.
Dr. Bertolini.
Yes.
Ms. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Elia.
Yes.
Ms. Favorovich,
No.
Ms. Kasoy,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
No.
Ms. Yorman,
No.
Ms. Mahan.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I'm going to open the floor. Actually, do we have any Google Doc comments on agenda items?
We do not.
I'm going to close the floor to the public. I'm going to open the floor to board member comment on agenda items, and the floor is now open. Ms. Sejvelovich.
Okay, so I wanted to say thank you to the administration for the wellness weekend. I think they're awesome. I think it's nice not to get homework and give kids more time to spend with their family. I would like to also thanks on 11. There's multiple gifts this agenda, and I wanted to say thank you to everyone who contributed. It was very kind of you. I'm going to vote no on the budget calendar. We get a book for the budget on a Thursday, and then we have to be back within like 4 days or 5 days. So my whole weekend spent on looking at a $700-page document, and it's just beyond ability to do that. So I asked the administration kindly in my questions, and they said no, we have to do it this way. So I'm going to vote no because I think we need to look at the agenda, the budget more thoroughly as a board. The next thing is I'm going to vote no on 8D17. And there's multiple reasons why I'm going to vote no on 8D17. Administrative assistant education is not a position in the district. I looked at my book, the red book in our district, and I looked at the position. That position does not exist. So I don't know what we're moving it from. Then I looked on May 1st, 2025 agenda, motion 7B7, and the position is called Executive Confidential Secretary to the Assistant Superintendent. Let me repeat it again. Executive Confidential Secretary to the Assistant Superintendent. The new position, according to the administration, is Confidential Executive Administrative Assistant. So the word confidential and executive are switched, and the word secretary is changed to assistant. Everything else stayed the same. Why am I bringing this up to you right now? Because of those three word switch, the district is increasing this position salary by 14% for $9,788. Again, that position is going to cost the district more $9,788. And the reason why I'm upset about this, here's a couple of reasons. It's in the middle of our budget. So we did not plan for this. Therefore, I don't understand where the administration found $9,788 to increase one position of 14%. In addition, the administration was going to provide us a wonderful presentation. But in most of the 5th through 8th grade, 1/3 of the students failed the state assessment. That money should be spent on ancillary teachers or something for the children to do better on the state testing. I'm going to make a motion I guess I can make it before because we have a consent agenda. I don't know how to do it. How do we do it with the consent agenda? Can you explain that to me? I'll come back because we have another round.
Mr. Santana.
Okay, on 5B, I am concerned at the number of students suspended at TJ, as many as the high school on the report. That's concerning to me as a parent. However, I applaud the district faculty and staff for enforcing the student code of conduct. We have high expectations for our students. 6B, BSM Boy, I would like to know from the district what is the plan to improve those HIB self-assessments for next year for all schools, in particular for TJ. 8A, A as an apple, 8F. I would like to see the district advertising the vacancies the employment opportunities in more venues, so we can get, more applicants. I'm going to abstain on AD 11, AD 17. I'm gonna keep it very brief, the comment on that one. I want the money to stay in the classroom. I want the money in the classroom, not in the office. So I cannot support that. In the middle of the year, I don't know where the money's gonna come from. Like Ms. Favelli stated, where in the budget is that money gonna come from? 10B, I'm going to make a motion on 10B. Please let me know when do I make the motion for 10B? Madam President, Board Attorney,
Hold on, I just actually asked, Ms. Avello asked the same thing, so if we can just wait and we can tell them both.
Okay.
Okay. The board should not, for 10B, the board should, I'm gonna vote no, and I'm gonna make a different motion. I'm gonna make a motion on it. The Board of Education should not make any profit on any after-school activity that we provide. We should not make a profit on the backs of the taxpayer who fund our schools. It's immoral. I am philosophically and morally against making a profit on the taxpayers' back who fund our schools. We should just charge at cost, and that's it. 11C, again, we have been told by many wise men of the law that the bills should not be redacted for board members. Yes, for the members of the public, the bills, there should be some redactions. But for the customers, us, the board members of the bills should not be redacted. I should know how every single dollar is spent and who are we spending it, and who are we paying to. I'll go a second round.
Ms. Brown.
I just wanted to congratulate our retirees for their work in the district. Michelle Gaffney, Keith Stagg, and Kathleen Tobin, thank you for your service to our students. It's much appreciated, and you will be missed. And I was hoping that Dr. Dionisio could explain to us the same way that he has explained in the past that community school programs are not for profit. They are self-sustaining programs. All of the money that is collected for these programs go back into paying for these instructors and the community school employees. So if you could explain that again clearly, that would be great. Thanks.
Ms. Kasoy.
Just very quickly, I just want to say on 8A of our new appointments, I'm always very excited when I see former Farallon students coming back to work in district. So I'm very excited to see some familiar names and very excited to have them back. And it's just a testament to what a great district it is that the students who go through the system want to come back and work here. So that's all. Thank you.
Ms. Fivelovich.
Can my question be answered so that I know I can make it the motion now or the motion when we vote, but we're doing a consent agenda, so I'm not sure. That's why.
What was her question?
She wants to know when she can make an emotion with a consent agenda.
A motion to do what?
I believe to amend.
To amend the motion that's currently on the agenda.
So my suggestion would be we would pull that out, that one item out, and vote that separately.
Okay, so can we pull that out? It's 8D 17.
That'll be voted on separately.
So I wanted to finish what I wanted to say. So what I'm going to talk about is ancillary teachers. I wanted to add more ancillary teachers. Ancillary teachers in the district are teachers that come into the classroom and help other the classroom teachers.
Ms. Fivelovich, I'm sorry, that is not an agenda item.
Well, no, I'm going to explain why my motion is. That's my motion's going to
That actually takes place during the motion. Mr. Santana.
Yes. Like I was saying, HC, the bills. The bills, I understand there's some redactions for the members of the public, but for those of us who are elected officials who were voted by the public, We need to know who are we paying every single cent out of the budget, okay? 11H, I cannot support the maintenance plan because I would like to see more upgrades on Furlong High School, particularly that A wing. I would like to see more upgrades on Furlong High School. We need to upgrade a lot of things on Furlong High School. We have the money. We have a lot of money in our capital improvement. Furlong High School needs a lot of improvement on that building. So we need to do more work on that high school. And I appreciate Dr. Dionisio's hard work and effort on this plan, but I would like to see more upgrades to the high school. 11F, the budget calendar. I would like the board to be provided with sufficient time to review the budget once we receive it prior to the small committee meetings, because it's a pretty thick book. So we need to have plenty of time to study and digest the information. I appreciate the agreement for 11J. I just wish we had it sooner. Last but not least, I want to thank the parents who donate money to the PTAs and PTOs. In the agenda, we receive very generous donations from the PTOs and PTAs. Thank you to the parents who donate to the PTAs and PTOs, and to the volunteers in the PTOs for putting this together. Thank you, Madam President. And my motion, let me know when I can make it. Yes, I want to pull out 10B.
What 10B is, hold on.
Pickleball.
Approval of pickleball, so we will vote on that separately. Correct. So we'll vote on 11D17.
No, D17.
D17. 8D17. And pickleball is 10B. All right.
Ms. Ehrman.
They're separate, so we're just going to vote on the consent agenda minus those two items, then we'll come back to those two items.
Ms. Ehrman.
So as not to be repetitive and make things run a little bit smoother and quicker, I wanted to thank the administration and the PTAs, PTOs in reference to field trips, I think, and professional development. Also, I will be voting. I too have the same problem of 11C, that there were redactions, and I think we were advised via an interview, but advised that no redactions should be made for board members. And I'm going to recuse from 11F as I'm not going to be part of the budget process this year, so I'm going to recuse abstain? Okay, I'll abstain. I was going to recuse. And that is all. Thank you.
So just let me clarify on the redactions. I just went through their bill list. There's only 4 redactions on the whole thing. You as board members, as I said during my interview, have the right to go to the board office and look at them. If they're redacted because they're protecting the privacy rights of a student or a staff member, I don't know what the redactions are, they should be redacted for the public. But there's only, out of the whole bill list, I think there's 4 redactions. So my suggestion to you is when you get the packet, if you have questions, you call the business office and say, this one was redacted, what is it? That's how you should handle it.
Point.
You're protecting the privacy rights of the public, because people, if it's a child or something like that, they have the right to privacy. But you as a board member have the right to ask the question to the business office, what was redacted and why?
Point of information. Point of clarification.
You guys are using point of information.
Well, we're
What
learning.
we're doing is we just keep on delaying these poor folks sitting out here. So,
Well,
my no, I think we should, I was clarifying, so what we have is you have a motion on the consent, you're going to move the consent agenda minus those 2 items. And then we'll vote on those 2 separately where you guys can make amendments. Okay? Got it? So if you
The
could.
floor is closed.
You need to vote, you already voted on the consent agenda, so you're going to call the roll call on the consent agenda minus the 2 items.
Can I get a roll call on the consent agenda minus D, 8D17, and 10B.
So moved.
Last name.
Brown.
Brownie.
Second?
Oh, we need a second? Second. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry, Lisa.
Yorman.
Sorry. I thought you
Can I get
vote.
a vote? Roll call. It is late.
Mr. Podolsky,
Yes.
Dr. Bernalini,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Elia,
Yes.
Mrs. Favorovich,
No on 6B, 8D 11, 11C, 11F, and 11H. Yes.
Ms. Kasoy,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
Abstain on 8D11. No on, well, we'll pull out 8D17, right? No on 11C. Abstain on 11H. Yes on the rest.
Ms. Yorman,
No on 6C. Actually, I'm going to abstain on 6C. Sorry. Abstain on 8D11. 11C, I'm going to vote no. 11F, I'm going to abstain. And that's it. Thank you. Sorry, yes on everything else.
and Ms. Mahan.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Told ya. Now, you should do it in order, so
So now we're going to use
8D17.
8D17.
We need a motion, before you discuss it, there has to be a motion and a second on 8D17, then you can have a discussion.
So I would like to make a motion, and then I say the motion.
Just make a motion on 8D17.
I would like to make a motion to amend 8D17 so that the $9,788 will be put back into the classroom by hiring more ancillary teachers or providing them the more hours for the amount of $9,788.
Second.
Okay, so you need to do a roll call on the amendment.
Don't I have to open the floor for discussion?
Well, is there any other discussions on this?
Okay, good. What? Yeah. Okay. Roll call.
Well, you said I can, no, I can't speak.
You made a motion to amend,
Yes,
so there's a second.
and we always have discussion now. We don't have to, okay, we're learning.
Go ahead.
something new in the-
You just made your discussion, and no one else had discussion. I mean, why don't we just keep on doing this so we can stay here all night before these, I thought the whole purpose of this was that you guys could open this up so the public could talk.
Call the question.
Effectuating what you guys are
Second.
attempting to do. So
I
my
give up.
suggestion is you make a roll call on the amendment and see if the amendment to 8D17 passes. It's called. Just motion second, just roll.
Roll call.
Mr. Podolsky,
No.
Dr. Bernalini,
No.
Ms. Brown,
No.
Mr. Elia,
No.
Mr. Favorovich,
Yes.
Ms. Kasoy,
No.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Ms. Yorman,
Yes.
Ms. Mahan.
No.
So the amended motion fails,
Fails.
so go back now to is there a motion and a second on the 8D17 as drafted in the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Brown was first.
Roll call.
Mr. Podolsky,
Yes.
Dr. Bernalini,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Elia, Mr. Elia,
Yes.
Ms. Favorovich,
Favorovich. It's
Favorovich,
no.
Ms. Kasoy,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
No.
Ms. Yorman,
No.
Ms. Mahon.
Yes.
Now you should, so that motion passed. Next motion is the motion that trustee Santana.
10B.
10B.
Okay, I respectfully make a motion to direct the district not to charge a profit for this program to taxpayers, to parents, and charge at cost.
Can you clarify exactly what you were looking for the motion to state?
The district shall charge at cost without any profit. Break even.
Second.
Okay.
No,
Jean Brown did. Roll call. We
Call-
just had the conversation.
Call the
that
question.
It would be it would now be unfair, and it's still unfair to our community. Let's. Roll call, please.
Mr. Podolsky,
No.
Dr. Bernalini,
Since I'm not sure of the specifics, no.
Ms. Brown,
No.
Mr. Elia,
No.
Ms. Favorovich,
Yes.
Ms. Kasoy,
I abstain on this one.
Mr. Santana,
Yes, for the community.
Ms. Yorman,
Yes, for the taxpayers.
Mrs. Mahan.
No.
Motion fails.
Roll call, please.
Roll call on the motion
As originally drafted.
So moved.
Resolution 10B.
Second. Second.
Mr. Podolsky,
Yes.
Dr. Bernalini,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Elia,
Yes.
Mrs. Favorovich,
No.
Ms. Kasoy,
I abstain.
Mr. Santana,
No.
Ms. Yorman,
No.
Mrs. Mahon.
Yes.
Motion passed.
This portion of our board meeting is specifically for comments on any matter. When speaking, please state your name and municipality of residence. Limit your remarks to 3 minutes. State law prohibits board members and administrators from discussing personnel matters, student discipline, or other confidential issues. Please note this is not a dialogue or a Q&A session between speakers and the board. While we may not respond immediately or to every comment made tonight, all input is carefully considered and helps inform our decisions. Responses may come through emails, reports, board statements, website updates, or after the comment period closes. Thank you for your participation in our school community's governance. The floor is open. Ms. Mallon, the floor is yours.
So we can talk about petition or not? Yes. Oh, wow. Thank you. Okay. Okay. So, good evening, everyone. I just want to say that I have a dream. And just like Dr. Martin Luther King, for a long time, I had a dream about racial equality, freedom, and justice for all. That all stigma that Jews have horns will be no more. That 1938 will be no more. So, dear members of the Fairlawn Board of Education, Dr. Dionisio, Superintendent of School, and Board Attorney, I'm sorry, your tag doesn't say your name. Thank you for the important work you do to educate the children. As I mentioned at the last meeting, I have deep respect for all educators. From my childhood, seeing my mom work hard to make sure that no students left behind. She graded everyone by their merit and not by their nationality. We Jews in former Soviet Union did not receive the same equality, however. I had to give up my dream of studying music or medicine because of the 5th line in my passport, Jewish. It doesn't mean Judaism, it means nationality. We came to America as Jewish Soviet refugees, escaping anti-Semitism here in New York City, and then in Fairlawn, surrounded by large, vibrant Jewish community. We finally learned about our heritage, our holidays, and what it means to belong. At last meeting, Dr. Edward Bertolini, thank you, spoke about developing anti-hate policy, and Ms. Santana, a special thank you to you, emphasized that anti-Semitism must be included. No doubts, included. Getting news of rising anti-Semitism across U.S. and Fairlawn, I felt heartbroken. That hatred we fled has found us again. Our purpose we combated through education by implementing nationally recognized Jewish American Heritage Month, JHM, in May, as it's already done in many states and school districts, including New York City schools, where I used to work in Queens. After the meeting, I was asked, and I have started a petition seen by all school and government officials and New Jersey Department of Education. You all seen it through the change.org and through all official email that I sent you every update, every week, from September 18 till last update 10/27. Since then, I have been in touch with many government officials. Can I get an extension?
I make a motion to give her an extra 3 minutes.
Thank you. Friends.
No.
No, sorry.
Point of, the policy allows for her to go twice.
No, but it's going to be, I'd rather.
She can go twice.
No, they waited a long time. Let's just.
Let me try. Can I speak?
There's a 3-minute thing. If you guys let people come back up.
Yes, but we make motions and we'll let people speak longer, as long as the board allows it. We have done this multiple times now. We're going to change this everything now.
Well, if there's a motion and a second to
Second.
extend it,
Second.
but then this is it. You can't come back.
That's fine.
I have a lot of people who could help me finish the speech. Thank you.
But
Can
we
I
have
finish
a motion and a second.
Can
Can
I
we just
finish
vote?
what Nothing, I cannot talk anymore?
No, not right now. You can't.
There's a motion
and a
second.
Pull up. Roll call on the extend for 3 minutes.
Mr. Bolovich? I'm sorry. Mr. It's pretty late. It's pretty late in the day. Mr. Bodowski?
Yes.
Dr. Bertolini?
Yeah, I think I'm voting yes, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
It's been a long.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
By now speaking by the time you vote.
Mr.
Yes.
Ms. Celia? Ms.
Yes.
Vilovich?
Yes.
You missed.
Ms. Kasoy? Mrs. Santana?
Yes.
Ms. Yurman?
Yes.
Ms. Mahan?
Abstain.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you, God. Our friends, parents, Jewish business owners, MindWayU, a school network, other organizations, groups, and people who experience anti-Semitism, bullying, and hatred in our town reached out to me. I started being contacted around the clock with people confiding me their heartfelt stories, expressing support and asking for help. Clearly, people want change in Fairlawn. Petition signed by 355 people so far. Numbers go up daily exponentially. Seeing how it spreads, it will be making big news soon. On bright side, no need to reinvent the wheel. In our petition, on September 18, I posted the link to New York school districts, how it's already done in everyone in school, town, and JDO got this information in advance to this meeting officially by change.org and officially by email. You were all informed how it's done in New York City. And Dr. Santanius, thank you for your presentation. But Jewish heritage is not just about Holocaust and genocide. That's why I sent you how it's done in New York City, where I used to work and live. I can explain to you what it is. I'm quoting from the website. JHM is federally recognized celebration that takes place in every year in May and provides an important opportunity to educate students about the rich cultural contribution of Jewish Americans throughout the history. It's a national, month-long celebration that takes place every May. The month serves to highlight Jewish contribution to American culture, history, and society. It's also a time to counter anti-Semitism through education and increased awareness. Jewish Americans have played a vital role in shaping the history, culture, and society of the United States, contributing to fields ranging from science and the arts to politics, business, and social justice. End of quote. In Fairlawn, you developed district goal number 2, 2025 to 26. It says, quote, cultivating belonging and community, calls for creating environments where everyone strives together. Recognizing JHM directly supports your goal, and it's about inclusion in diversity. But despite its significance, JHM has yet to be incorporated in the curriculum of Fairlawn schools. Therefore, on behalf of our petitioner signers, we respectfully request, number 1, the board to officially recognize Jewish American Heritage Month of May, like in New York City schools. Number 2, yeah, I'm gonna let someone else to finish. Is that okay? Good, thank you.
Wow, deja vu. Good evening or almost good morning. My name is Mark Spindell, for those of you who know me, and for those of you who do not know me, it's still Mark Spindell. I've served here as a board member for 12 years, and I'm here tonight to talk on 2 items. First, I realized that Gene Banta, who served on the board with me probably for about 35, 40 years, had this very room named after him. And that's quite an honor, and he really deserved it. But it got me to thinking that after 12 years of hard work, at least I'd have that air conditioner named after me or something. And sadly, I don't see my name on there. Just like me. I am retired, but I am grateful. I just came from the bathroom, and the urinal isn't named after me either. But on a more serious note, I'm here because every year, every time this year, people come up to me and they come up to my wife and they say, who should I vote for the Board of Education? So I'm going to simplify matters this year for all those who asked me and all those who were going to ask me if they watch this channel, in telling you some of the things that why you should vote for a specific person. I used this in a debate of mine a few years ago, and I listed those important items, what to look for in a good board member. For those currently serving on the board and then who are running, people can just tune into this station and see how they acted, during a meeting, see how knowledgeable they are. For those who have not run in the past, they can go to the debate that was just held and ask friends or neighbors as to who they think is the best candidate for the Board of Ed. But however, though, these are the items or the characteristics that I feel are important. A person who thinks seriously about the issues that are facing the district. An individual who works well with other board members and can seek consensus among them. A person who strives to build a strong relationship between the school, the district, and the community. A person who is aware of the district's needs and supports all the students, not just certain interests that they may have, regardless of their academic ability or their background. An individual who respects the different recommendations. That's the bell? Okay, thank you. An individual who respects the different recommendations and the solutions that are offered by anyone serving on the board. A person who is committed to dedicating the time and the effort that is necessary to fulfill all the board responsibilities. A person who understands district policies, the challenges of being on the board, as well as the strengths of the district. A person, and here's the most important too, a person who displays professionalism and a person who respects behavior and opinions of all people on the board. And the last one, a person who is able to conduct and behave oneself in the proper manner all the time. Of course, these are only my opinions, but for those who have valued my opinions in the past while serving on the board, you know that for me, I take everything very seriously, and I thank you on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for giving me time. It won't take long. I just want to finish what my friend didn't have a chance to complete. So regarding the petition, on behalf of our community and of our petition signers, we respectfully request, number one, I will just repeat it because to have it in consequence, this board to officially recognize Jewish American Heritage Month of May like it is done in New York City schools. Number two, for the superintendent to incorporate appropriate activities to celebrate JHM of May and to officially implement it in our school's curriculum in accordance with 2020 Diversity and Inclusion Legislation 18A35-436A and in compliance with NJDOE. It is more than just a month. It is about integrating Jewish American Heritage Month into K-12 social studies. Link with all the information sent transparently to everyone in distribution list as open email on October 27th, and it was made public in our last petition update the same day. Let's teach our students together at schools and home that inclusion and respect begin with understanding and that every child, regardless of background, truly belongs. Thank you all. Mira Daskal.
Say again.
Mira, M-I-R-A.
M-I-R-A, okay.
Yes.
Last name?
D for David, A-S-K-A-L.
Thank you.
Should I press this? It's on. Good evening. I'm Marcy Rees. You probably all know I'm a Board of Education candidate. I'm going to come back to talk about the agenda items after because I want to give everyone a chance to talk about the main reason why they're here tonight. But the main reason why all of these people are here tonight, I'm also here in support of adding Jewish Heritage Month to our curriculum in May. While I appreciate all that has been shared in regards to Fairlawn's commitment to Holocaust and Jewish heritage education, I feel that it's important to recognize Jewish Heritage Month. I'm not advocating that we teach any religious aspects of Judaism. I'm advocating that we celebrate the contributions made and the achievements of Jewish figures in history, and that's not limited to just the instruction on Holocaust and genocide. My grandfather, Nathaniel Moss, was born in 1916. He was a teenager during World War II. After his father passed away, he and his brothers changed their last name from Moshkow to Moss to assimilate. They never should have had to do that, but they felt that it was necessary. My grandfather passed away in April of 2013 at the age of 96, but several years prior to his death, he told me and my mother that he felt anti-Semitism was worse then than during the World War II era. That was close to 20 years ago, and I can only imagine what he would think now, and that speaks volumes to me. My father-in-law was a Holocaust survivor of Auschwitz. Our family and many others understand the atrocities that people of Jewish faith have endured. History repeats itself. I said it at the forum, I'll say it again. History repeats itself if it's not taught. The best way to prevent history from repeating itself is to teach it. If we celebrate our differences rather than allowing them to divide us, I believe that is the first step to stopping hate and anti-Semitism in our community. And I'll come back for the rest. Thank you.
Ma'am, there's not going to be coming back for us. The expanded folks have 6 minutes.
Okay,
So
that's fine. The rest are comments on agenda items, so I didn't feel that they were necessarily as important as our community wanting to speak, but I just had just throw some questions out there. Item 5C, enrollments for September 2025 versus 2024. I was just curious as to how Bergen Tech out of district had half of a student. If someone could clarify that for me, I'm not sure if there was maybe some kind of averaging going on. Items 8D, 14, I noticed that there is an MA step 5 to step 6. They're getting an $1,800 salary increase, which doesn't really seem that much for teachers. When I noticed that 8D 17, which was changed, there was a secretary that was getting an almost $10,000 increase. I was curious if we were changing her title to give her that raise, if she's a union secretary or following a union contract. I also noticed that in items 8D 15 and 16, there's a paraprofessional and ancillary teachers. One is receiving a week extra and one is receiving 2 weeks extra. I'm curious as to why it's such a small amount of time when we have students clearly in our report that could use that extra time and could use that $10,000. And then just back to, I guess, item 1K. 1J, Dr. Dionisio mentioned that the Community Leadership Council. I was curious if there was somewhere that we can see who makes up this Leadership Council. Item 1K, the NJSLA. I appreciate all of the hard work that has gone into presenting us with the various reports you've created for us and the in-depth comparisons you shared. I also want to echo the sentiments of thanking the teachers for AP. The increase in students taking AP classes and exams is impressive. I thoroughly enjoy the AP classes that I took in high school. Mr. Petrosino, Ms. Craig, I so appreciate you if you're by any chance watching. Dr. Dionisio and Mrs. Keller, not to create more work for you, but in echoing what Lisa said, I think it would be important for us to see a comparison showing how we compare to our GH demographic group in Bergen County, not just Paramus and Teaneck. This includes schools Edgewater, Emerson, Hillsdale, Leonia, Midland Park, Paramus, Rutherford, Teaneck, Waldwick, and Westwood Regional. And while not in the same GH demographic, I think it would also be interesting to see how we compare to districts that perhaps have similar spending per pupil, like Ridgewood, because we have similar resources. Also, Mrs. Keller, I really liked the cohort comparison, but I would actually be curious to see a little bit further in depth of the cohort comparison and seeing if we can go as far back as to compare this 8th grades class to how they've grown in proficiency since 3rd grade. I'd be interested to see how one full grade has grown in its comparison. In regards to science and JSLA, I'm wondering that perhaps as other parents might be, if we could expect to see an increase in scores if we shift back to year-round science instruction. And then a few other non-agenda items. I'd like to note how wonderful all new digital welcome boards are throughout the district. It's been fantastic to see all of the events for the month, all of our teachers and staff being honored. I am fortunate not to live next to or across the street from one of these boards. Past several weeks, when you pass these boards at night, it's literally like the sun in mid-afternoon. I've seen a lot of complaints. I'm really glad that they've been turned to dark mode. I just want to ask that as the remainder of the boards are installed and turned on throughout the district, that we can please be mindful of our neighbors and ensure that dark mode is on from the get-go. And I have other comments, but I can wait on those. So thank you. Have a good evening. I'll write my name down. That's all. Thank you. This pen doesn't work. So wait, this one might work. I got it. I think this one works. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much. As some of us have stated already, Jewish heritage is not just about Holocaust. As a Jewish mother and a parent in this district, and someone who came to this country from a former communist regime where cultural identity was often silenced, I cannot stress enough the importance of incorporating Jewish Heritage Month into the district curriculum. The Borough of Fair Lawn has already recognized May as Jewish Heritage Month through the official proclamation, acknowledging the rich history and achievements of the Jewish people. It is time our schools reflect the same recognition through education. This initiative directly supports District Goal number 2, cultivating belongings and community, creating environments where everyone thrives together. By incorporating Jewish Heritage Month into the curriculum, we take meaningful steps towards assessing our community climate to ensure our schools truly foster inclusion and respect, providing equal access and opportunity for all students to see their histories and identities respected, building empathy and understanding that extend beyond the classroom, and empowering our entire district. By teaching our students about Jewish history, culture, and countless contributions Jewish innovators have made to art, science, civil rights, and American progress, we are not focusing on faith. We are focusing on education, heritage, and shared value that unite us as a diverse community. This is not just about honoring the past. It's about sharing a more compassionate, informed, and inclusive future. Fair Lawn has long been known for diversity and welcoming spirit. Let us continue this tradition by ensuring our curriculum reflects it. Let our children learn that unity does not mean sameness. It means standing together, celebrating differences, and learning from one another. I would like to ask the board, I would like to request that we put a motion to recognize Jewish Heritage Month and incorporate it into our K through 12 curriculum, and also recognize the month of May as a Jewish Heritage Month. Thank you for your time and your continued commitment to building a Fair Lawn where every child truly feels that they belong. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board, administration, and community. My name is Bojana Tolchinsky, Municipality is Fair Lawn, and I'm here to address the systemic problem in our district, the continued resistance to acknowledging and celebrating the diverse identities of our students through meaningful Heritage Month recognition. In 2021, the board voted against implementing Black History Month as an official initiative, citing it was proclamation, which is not Board of Education matters. In 2024, when Fair Lawn students were here to came to advocate for greater Black History Month inclusion, they were again dismissed. And now in 2025, as the community seeks to implement Jewish American Heritage Month, something that is aligned with New Jersey Department of Education legislation, we are once again hearing hesitation and deflection. This is now a pattern of minimizing student voices, disregarding community needs, and failing to follow state-level educational standards and requirements. Fair Lawn is not exempt from the laws or values of New Jersey. The New Jersey Department of Education states that schools must incorporate diversity education that recognize the histories, struggles, and contributions of all communities, including Black Americans and Jewish Americans, and as we mentioned lately, the Hispanic Heritage Month as well. These are not optional gestures, they are educational standards. So I ask, why does Fair Lawn repeatedly avoid honoring these communities in a formal and meaningful way? Why do community members have to return again and again to be heard? Why is the default response resistance instead of collaboration? This is not about politics. It is not about special treatment. It is about fair, equal, and lawful inclusion for every child, no matter their race, religion, or creed. We are a public school district, and our job is to serve all the students. Our job is to make sure that everybody feels included and that our social studies curriculum is implemented as we had seen on New Jersey Department of Education. And if Black History Month was voted down in 2021, rejected again in 2024, and now Jewish American Heritage Month is facing the same pushback, then we must acknowledge the obvious. This is a systemic issue, and systems only change when leadership changes its mindset. So tonight, I urge this board to commit to formally recognizing and supporting all Heritage Months required or recommended by the New Jersey Department of Education, for collaborative with parents, students, and teachers to develop curriculum that reflects Fair Lawn's diverse population and demonstrate through action, not just words, that all children belong here. And also, I would like to thank you for tonight's presentation. It was very informative, and I appreciate everybody taking the time today and giving us the opportunity to speak. Thank you. Have a wonderful night.
Good evening. I'm here for dessert. I'm Vladimir Itkin. Let me just write my name. The other pen. The other pen. I'm sorry. Don't start the clock yet. And I'm from Fair Lawn. Okay. First of all, thank you, the administration, for presentation. I know you put a lot of efforts into it. One thing that would be fun to see is when we compare ourselves to other towns, we're better than average. So if there are like 20 towns, are we ninth or are we the second? What's the distribution? Just would be a fun piece of information to see. Secondly, district goals. I had to really jump around the website trying to find them. It would be great if they're displayed prominently at some intuitive place on the website. Right now, I think at that intuitive place, I only saw goals for 2022-23 school year, a little outdated. Last but not least, Jewish Heritage Month. Yes, I'm here to support it, of course, and it does fit well with the goals, which call for inclusive environment for all, so that would fit right in. And also, I went to the website of the New Jersey Department of Education. Under Standards, Social Studies, the web page is called Integrating History. I can leave this page, if I may, with the link. It lists 11 months that they I guess, recommend integrating. It says, integrating diverse American histories into K-12 social studies. So I take it they recommend doing it, and Jewish Heritage Month is clearly one of them. So that would fit right in. May I just leave this here somewhere? Thank you.
Anything on the Google Doc?
We have 4 comments. We have a Matthew Windman. My children attend Radburn Elementary. My son attended aftercare program past 3 years. This year we tried to enroll both children in aftercare, but we were later advised that they had been enrolled in before care. Since then, they have been on the waiting list for aftercare. I'm very surprised and concerned that they still have not gotten into the program. 3 years ago, our child was on the waiting list just for a week before we got into the program. Working parents like us depend greatly on aftercare. While the exact relationship between the program and the school board is unclear to me, I hope the school board will look into this matter of great public concern for parents and students alike. Second comment from Matthew Windman. My children attend Radburn Elementary School. My son attends the aftercare program past 3 years. It's a repetition. We're going to go to the next comment. We have Aiden Maloney. Aiden Maloney says, Dear Dr. Dionisio and board members, my name is Aiden. I'm a sophomore. Thank you so much for your feedback into the question I asked regarding in-class resource for science and social studies at the August board meeting. I have some questions tonight. My first question is, which science course is the district considering having an in-class resource for 11th grade school year next year? My second question is why there's no resource for science and social studies in the middle schools. Thank you so much. All my best, Aiden. And just to those comments, we'll have Ms. DeFranco and our high school team follow up with Aiden to answer his questions.
The floor is closed. I just want to recognize that I appreciate that on behalf of the board that you guys were all here and present and stayed for an extraordinarily lengthy amount of time. Your words are important. They're valuable. It's what we teach our students in this community. In regards to the one question asked, Ms. Ruiz, sorry, Ms. Ruiz, that BCT program is it's a shared program. So that's why it's a half, it's not a half body. So, thank you. Any other recognition will come from the superintendent. Okay. Do you have any recognition? And do you have anything to recognize? Okay. Okay, so I am going to open the floor to board member comments on any business. Ms. Favalovich.
As a descendant of Holocaust survivors, I think recognizing the Jewish American Heritage Month is important. So I make a motion that the Fairlawn Board of Education adopt the following resolution. Motion to recognize Jewish American Heritage Month. Moved that the Fairlawn Board of Education adopt the following resolution. Whereas Jewish American Heritage Month is observed nationally each May to recognize the achievements and the contribution of Jewish Americans. Whereas the Fairlawn School District is committed to fostering an inclusive, respectful, and diverse educational environment for all students, staff, and families. And whereas President Jimmy Carter established Jewish Heritage Week in 1980, which was changed to Jewish American Heritage Month in 2006. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Fairlawn Board of Education officially recognize the month of May as Jewish American Heritage Month.
Second.
Ms. Favalovich, can you provide me that written copy?
I will email it to you.
Can you email it now just so we can, I'm going to have to read it out loud when we review the motion.
I can read it again. You won't be able to read, I'm understand my handwriting. I can read it again to you if that makes you however you would like.
No, I think you want to recognize Jewish American Heritage Month. That's
Yes,
the motion.
in the month of May.
Sorry.
Right. You have a second.
By Santana.
Sure. Now that there's a motion and a second, you can have comments.
So here's the problem.
Call the question.
Open for discussion.
Sure, I'll go.
Dr. Bertolini.
I'm sorry, Julie, you should go first. You raised your hand. I'm sorry. Sorry, Julie.
I didn't recognize him. He has to be recognized in order for me to use a. Yes, we are. Ms. Brown had the same thing. Ms. Kasoy.
This is confusing, so I appreciate it. So though my last name is Kasoy, my maiden name is Lubinsky. I'm also an immigrant. I am also of Russian heritage. I've also came to this country as a child with parents who had anti-Semitism and had to leave behind professions, and I recognize truly the contributions I believe we're talking about curriculum changes here. And the request, the petition specifically said that that the request has, your motion, I'm discussing. So the petition was to adopt Jewish Heritage Month, National Jewish Heritage Month into the curriculum. We have a curriculum committee. I absolutely support this, but I support this being advanced in a way that we can make sure to implement it effectively and implement it thoughtfully and implement it making sure that we don't just do something and miss something important, that we also take into account Black History Month, that we take into account Asian American History Month, that we take in these things into account. So I don't know what this means with the motion on the table,
This
because
is merely to recognize.
it's merely, this
Jewish
is not impacting
American-
curriculum
No.
as
it's
it
just
is.
to recognize Jewish American
Okay,
Heritage Month
so-
during the month of May.
What does recognizing mean? And maybe Dr. Dionisio can help.
So in the past, it has been to note in the month of May that a proclamation is placed on our agenda. In the past, as stated by other trustees, a proclamation was placed on the agenda and it was voted on. The most recent one being in 2021, and it was voted down. So it's typically completed in the month that we recognize it. So, for example, the council recognizes those proclamations in the month that they are taking place.
So what does that mean for the school? This is where I'm just trying to understand what the actual.
Unfortunately, I wish, Ms. Mallon, I wish you could.
The public's closed. The public,
Right, but right now we can only focus on the motion at hand, which is not curriculum-based, which is not your petition. It is solely based on recognizing Jewish American Heritage Month in the month of May. That is
Okay,
it.
thank you.
So,
That is
Yep,
right.
that is it.
This is not a curriculum impact. That
Correct.
can be brought to the curriculum committee to, okay,
That's
all right,
correct.
thank you.
Dr. Bertolini, and then Mr. Santana. Right, you had your hand up? Oh, okay, Mr. Santana.
We cannot have any hesitation. Any hesitation to vote yes is really a no vote. Even if anyone votes yes, if you hesitate to even think about it, that's not full support. Although I'm not Jewish, as a person from the Dominican Republic, my ancestors were from Western Africa and Spain. For anyone that knows history, Spain have to ask for forgiveness to the Jewish people when they expel them, and they expel the Moors also. Okay, so I have Jewish ancestry culturally to the Sephardi Jews. Okay, so I am a ally. I don't have a flag. I wish I had a flag. Ms. Mayher has a flag next to her name. I want to have a flag next to my name. Okay, I'm an ally of the Jewish community. I don't hesitate. You have yes, vote here.
Mr. Baldowski.
Thank you. I want to thank the community members for waiting so long to speak and apologize that our banter kind of delayed that. I think it's important that we recognize and celebrate every cultural group within our community and recognize that diversity. And I want to thank Mr. Idkin for pointing out that state website. I had not seen that, where it does list all the months that it recommends that schools can incorporate different ways. I don't think adopting a resolution in the month of October does it justice. If this is something we want to do, and I think these are discussions we should have, it should be done in May to recognize the full month of it. And I have the stand-in policy, and many members of this board do, that we don't vote on motions without seeing it prior. I have not seen this resolution beforehand. And so it just makes me uncomfortable voting on something without recognizing the full impact. And I'd rather make this a meaningful discussion, have a full-on discussion with our administration, within our committees, to make sure that we do this right for all community members. So thank you.
Ma'am, you can't yell from the public. You got your 2 minutes, let the board talk.
Ms. Yerman.
Call the question.
Mr. Podolsky,
Abstain.
Dr. Bernalini,
I do support the resolution, as long as it doesn't, as Ms. Kasoy said, it doesn't.
Dr. Bertolini, you have to give a yes or no vote.
I was going to.
We're done with our commentary. We called the question.
Okay, so I will vote yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Ilea,
Abstain.
Ms. Fevorovic,
Yes.
Ms. Kasoy,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Ms. Shurman,
Yes.
Ms. Mahan.
I'm going to abstain as well.
Motion carries. Motion passes.
Madam President, I have another motion.
You haven't been recognized yet, Mr. Santana.
Yeah, I'm waiting to be
No.
recognized.
We have to wait for everyone to get their turn. You've had a turn. We're gonna start over, okay? We're going to reopen. When we ask for somebody to be recognized, put your hand up. This is not new. We are back to board comments on any business. Mr. Santana.
Okay. February 22nd, 2021. I made a motion, just like Ms. Farrelly made a motion to recognize, because we have to, it's good that the community's here, we have to be fair, okay? Honest and fair. I'm an honest man, but I'm a fair person, and I shoot from the hip, okay? In February 22nd, regular board meeting, 2021, I made a motion to recognize Black History Month, and it was voted down. 3 people voted no, 6 people voted no, 3 people voted yes. The three board members that voted yes are here. I thank them for their vote. I think I cannot go to sleep tonight without making a motion to bring fairness, equality, and justice to Black History Month and also Hispanic Heritage Month. So I would like to make a motion to request that the superintendent research the various district communities, the various district, the various communities represented in our student population, and offer a recommendation to the curriculum committee for further examination.
Second.
Would you like me to repeat the motion? Okay, being that we want equality and fairness for all groups, and being that the board rejected recognizing Black History Month in 2021, and being that we have a National Hispanic Heritage Month, you cannot be for Jewish heritage without also being for Black History Month and also Hispanic Heritage Month. United, we win. Divided, we fall. So it's fair, it's fair. The community got what they wanted. Now we want the community to support everybody. Okay? So that's the only way you got me in. I will say yes, but all of us have to be together. So my motion is motion to respectfully, I'm trying to word it in a very respectful way, not to boss the superintendent around. Respectfully.
Can I suggest what your motion is?
No, let me say it myself, sir, respectfully. Request the superintendent to conduct the proper research to make a recommendation for any curriculum changes and proclamation for the Black History Month, Hispanic Heritage Month celebrations, and any other group that the superintendent feels should be included to represent all of our students.
So, just to clarify, you are looking for research on our current population
Yes.
to determine any other curricular changes and cultural heritage month proclamations.
Yes, cultural heritage proclamation and any educational and cultural recommendations to the curriculum committee,
For,
to the education committee, to the education committee.
so that would be any Fair Lawn community that is part of our district.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll second
I'll
it.
just remind everybody that that's what I recommended about 3 hours ago. That was my opening 10 minutes. So it's something that I think we should be looking at. The strength of our community is the diversity. We have a lot of cultures that are represented here.
Call the roll.
So
No,
Call the
Lisa
roll.
did.
Call the roll. Call the roll.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. I am
I
going
think our
to,
voices sound the same.
I'm going to open the floor to comment on the motion. Anyone? Ms. Kasoy.
Does this need to be a motion if Dr. Dionisio already said that this is something?
There's a
we wanna
motion on the
vote
floor, so
Okay,
now we have to
okay,
discuss
okay.
it. Anyone else? Okay, here you go. I don't speak often. My role is actually to facilitate the meeting rather than provide any commentary. But I feel like it's really important to denote, similar to what Ms. Kasoy did, which is that my last name is Mahan, but my maiden name is Fischelson. I am raising 2 Jewish boys. But when I sit up here on this dais, the same way as every single other person sitting on this dais, we are not considering the personal perspectives and our personal opinions. We are considering the perspective of every single member of this community. And I want to be very clear that every single member of this community, regardless of how large the population is, needs to be considered. So it's going to be very important that everyone hear and understand that we have a very large growing population of Ukrainians and Russians and Indians and Muslims and a small but growing population of Palestinians. And so if we are going to recognize every single population, when I sit up here at this table, we have to be able to consider that we are recognizing every single small community in our town. And I understand that that is going to be very hard for many people to hear. But because they are part of our community, they are entitled to that same recognition. So when you see us at a supermarket, or you see us out in the community, and you feel inclined to come say to us that we are not considering your population, when we sit up here, we have to consider every single one. So understand that this is as hard for us sitting here and listening to you, because I personally may have a very similar passion. But unfortunately, our role as elected officials and volunteers is to consider every single child and family. So, Dr. Dionisio, should this come back to you, right? We all realize that you shared it. There's a motion on the floor. I beg you to consider every single child, because even if there is one child from a marginalized community, that child deserves the same respect and consideration as our largest population.
Oh, it's on the motion? No, I just want to talk about new business.
Anyone else on the motion? Mr. Santana.
I still haven't recovered from the Black History motion that was voted down. And this is why I feel that, yes, supporting Jewish Heritage Month, but also, like Ms. Mahan stated, we have to make sure that every child feels seen and heard. And as an immigrant myself, who came to this country when I was 16 years old without knowing English, I know what it is to feel ignored, and I don't want anybody feeling ignored. And I think for people back then who said, but well, we have to celebrate everybody every month. Let's celebrate everybody every month, because when we include everybody, it makes us stronger. It makes us stronger. Otherwise, we're gonna have to repeat it again, you know. And we learned the assignment already.
Roll call.
Mr. Podolsky,
Yes.
Dr. Bernalini,
No, because of the curriculum changes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Eli,
Yes.
Ms. Filovich,
Yes.
Mrs. Kasoy,
Yes.
Mrs. Santana,
Yes.
Ms. Yerman,
Yes.
Ms. Meehan.
To be consistent, I'm going to abstain.
Motion carries.
We're back to other business. Ms. Fidelovich.
I just want to point out something to the member that says we do not vote if we don't see a resolution. This room was named after a board member, a resolution that I did not get to see the resolution. They wanted to surprise the board member. Therefore, I didn't get to see, and I had to vote. So if that's how we're going to do it, that's fine, but let's not be hypocritical. Let me just talk about one more thing. In 2021, in February, Mr. Itkin and I made a motion, and it was carried. It says, to Ms. Favelas to post, second by Ms. Favelas to post criteria for eligible for gifted and talented program, including REACH, on a website of respective school. The criteria should include required test scores. The criteria should be specific enough to allow parents to understand why the child was or was not included in the gifted and talented program. Just wanted to say I appreciate the administration putting the scores, but I, as a parent, by looking at it, I wouldn't be able to know how do you tell the difference between each tiers. What's the test scores have to be for tier 2, tier 1, tier 3? It doesn't. Is there a way that they can clarify that so that everybody could see? Thank you.
Any other board comments? Mr. Santana?
I would like to thank Dr. Dionisio. You know what? In 22 years that I've been in education as a teacher, I met very few superintendents with the patience, charisma, and ability to listen, like Dr. Dionisio. Okay, so I really have to be very thankful. And the motion that was passed and agreed to by the board then, which was second and May, and second by Ms. Favelovic and then financial genius, Mr. Itkin, okay? It took how many years to be enforced? And in the private sector, when the boss says you have to do this and it doesn't get done, there's got to be repercussions. There's got to be consequences. Because if the board made a decision, the majority of the board then made a decision, and that board action was not carried through, there should have been some consequences. There should have been some disciplinary consequences. And I would like to see some accountability. I would like the superintendent to issue some recommendations, maybe different processes or policies for proper enforcement. Because if the Board of Education makes a motion and it's passed and it's not obeyed, that is insubordination. That is also insubordination. Because if we had a policy that was voted made and second by 2 elected officials and voted by the majority of the members, and that policy, it took Dr. Dionisio to come here for that policy to be fully enforced. I would like to see some accountability, because when the board decided to name this room after Mr. Banta, who I came here and praised him for all his years of service, even though we didn't agree on many things, it was done. There's a name, Mr. Banta, outside in the banner. It was done. So when the board makes a decision, even if people don't agree, it must be obeyed. Just like the policies of the board must be followed and obeyed. They're not open to interpretation. That's why we have regulations on how to carry them. So thank God we have Dr. Dionisio in this district, because Dr. Dionisio, with his leadership, he's guiding the ship to the right course. But I would like to see some accountability, because why did it take so many years for that policy to be enforced? I still can't think. I'm having nightmares about this. I cannot believe that policy was not enforced in so many years. But if it was a policy to name this chair after a board member that you love, it would have been done, and that's not right. And what the board member was stating is, we have to follow what the policy, even if we don't agree. Even if we don't agree.
Time's up.
Mr. Balanovsky.
Thank you. I'll keep this really short. I just want to have some clarification that the resolution to honor our long-term board member, Mr. Banta of this room, it was discussed with the board members prior to that meeting. Board members were well aware that resolution was coming up to the board. Same with when we recognized Ms. Hayek 2 years ago, a similar process. The resolution was shared with board members prior to that. I also want to note that Mr. Santana's pre-K through 4th grade expansion of Edison that was recommended to the Finance Committee was placed on the August agenda of Finance. We did not get that, to that on time, but it is on the agenda as requested or as required by policy. The community school, so the community is well aware, just because misinformation continues to come out every board meeting, is a nonprofit entity that is fully self-sufficient, and simply want to wish our students a happy Halloween and be safe tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay. The floor is closed. Nope. Upcoming meetings on November 20th, 2025. There's policy of a whole meeting at 7 p.m. Eugene M. Banta Public Meeting Room, room 19 at Edison School. Additionally, following the public policy of the whole will be our regular monthly board meeting commencing at 8 p.m. at the Eugene M. Banta Public Meeting Room, room 19. Both this date and December 18th, 2025, which is the regular monthly meeting of December at 7:30 p.m. in the Eugene M. Banta Public Meeting Room, room 19. Denote from our standard, which is the third Thursday of the month. These are the fourth Thursday of the month. And then January 7th, 2026 is our organization meeting at 7:30 p.m. Edison School, Eugene M. Banta Public Meeting Room, room 19. This also denotes a deviation from the fourth Thursday in the month and will be taking place at this point in time on January 7th, which is a Wednesday. Can I please get a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Brown.
Second. All in favor? Have a good night.